This guy worked himself to death literally. Then he gets
Bruh.
reincarnated into another world and decides he wants to die again. Sounds easy, right? Wrong. His new system has one stupid rule: he can't die. So now this unlucky idiot has to survive a world full of monsters, cultivators, assassins while desperately trying to get himself killed. And somehow, every single time he tries to die, he gets even stronger. This is the story of a man who just wants to die, but apparently even death doesn't want him. A man who was working overtime to meet his deadline feels restless and tired. His face had turned sour from all the hard work and overtime he had worked for. The fatigue in his body was taking over his will to continue working, but he tried his best to keep working since he didn't want to waste his overtime hard work. Unfortunately, due to workload stress and overworking, the person dies on his desk. He introduces himself as Eula, who had been worked to death, but he came back to life. He got transmigrated to a different world where he is loving his life inside a guy named Zhenfei. Zhenfei, who was a peasant character and dependent on his father, was distraught since his father died. His father was attacked by a beast and was killed while hunting in the mountains. Yuli expresses his regrets about not using his life savings back in his own world, since the only thing left for Zhenfei were some strips of meat in this world. He cries and feels pity after remembering the amount of money he saved up back in his bank account.
You're broke.
Just as he is getting depressed, he slaps himself and remembers that he has gotten a golden chance of living again. He turns back and gets determined that he wants to make this life better for himself. Suddenly, a blue light emerges from behind him, and he hears a ding sound. He looks back confused, and sees a light blue system floating in front of him. The system informs him that the peasant ascension system has been activated. He closes his eyes and adjusts to the bright light, and tries to understand the situation. Suddenly, it dawns on him that this is a transmigration system in front of him. He starts making assumptions that this system only appeared in front of him since he is the main character of this story, and he will use it to take over the world. He starts imagining having 7,000 to 8,000 beautiful ladies for his harem.
I'm horny! I'm horny!
He starts laughing like a maniac and says that the Manhwa novels he read didn't lie. He starts assuming that in the next plot of the story, he is going to reach the pinnacle of his existence. He opens his arms in front of the system and tells it that he accepts the system. A huge rejection symbol appears in front of him, and the system informs him that the host doesn't currently meet the requirements of the system. So the system is currently shutting down temporarily. Yuli gets frustrated and starts yelling at the system not to shut down and explain why he does not fit the requirements of the system currently. The system tells him to complete an unmotivated and generic life to prove that he is worthy of the system. After he lives his life according to the requirements, the system will be activated in his next life. Eula starts bombarding more questions to the system and shows it his middle fingers. Eula rudely asks it about the requirements and mocks the system that it doesn't explain what it is used for, calling it a piece of junk. The system gets angry at Eula's rude behavior. A powerful lighting is launched by the system, and it hits Eula directly. He falls on the ground defeated, and the system tells him that mouthing the system is prohibited. He shows a thumb sign to the system to show it that he agrees with the system. He tells the system that it has a really bad temper. The system tells him that he asks too many questions and tells him to consult the user manual. He gets up from the ground and tells the system what he understood by the explanation. He asks the system if he completed a life according to the system's requirements and whether he be able to become unstoppable in his next life. Also, without considering the next requirements, will he even be himself in his next life? The system tells him that his soul has been archived, so no matter how he is reincarnated, his memories will be retained within him. The system also tells him that his soul is already immortal, and any attempt to kill him will be doubled back to the enemy and kill them. He starts thinking that he will have to live 40 to 50 more miserable years before he can move on to his next life. He starts thinking of a way to move on to the next life. He suddenly gets an idea and asks the system if he can move on to the next life by killing himself, but the system warns him about his decision. The system tells him that peasants wouldn't choose such a way to die and normal people use any good method to live and avoid evil in their lives. If he chooses to end his life, the system will not activate itself. Eula now understands that the requirements of the system are clear. He cannot kill himself, so he will let death find him instead. He asks the system a final question and asks it if his identity is Eula or Zhenfei. The system tells him that his identity belongs to the person whose body he is in, which means his identity is Zhenfei. He understands the situation and says that he will work hard to live the life of a peasant, but the system again shows him the rejection sign and tells him that a true peasant doesn't work hard in their life. With a suspicious expression, he tells the system that he will live a demotivated and useless life in this world. The system wishes him good luck and disappears. As soon as the system disappears, he smirks and says that a system is just a system, while it's super powerful. This is unexpected. The peasant life of Junfei has nothing to do with him. He becomes determined and decides that he will live his life as a peasant and find external means to test the limitations of his abilities. Seen in the demon school ecstasy sect, a woman holds a glowing purple orb and is announcing to the school students. She tells them that the saint without any blessings will illuminate their sect. Everyone listening starts cheering for her. This woman named Shui Kingmei tells her followers about the orb in her hand. She tells them that this magical orb is an extremely powerful weapon left behind by the ancient monks. She smirks and tells them that with the help of this orb, their sect will rise to the top of the demon school. Everyone starts chanting and cheering for her. She suddenly notices a powerful red energy approaching her, which takes away the orb in her hands. She opens her eyes and sees another cute girl in a white robe holding the orb. Qingmei glares at her.
What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
The mischievous girl in white robes tells her to catch her if she can. The red-haired girl Qingmei orders the whole sect to catch this new intruder who has stolen their orb. Meanwhile, Yu Li, who was currently in Junfei's body, rests in Junfei's hut. He lies in his bed and starts thinking that it's going to be very hard to die without breaking any rules. He is still thinking about it when his stomach grumbles, and he feels hungry. He starts thinking that he has to feed himself since he can't starve himself to death, because this will be against the system's rules. Now he starts thinking about how he can find food. Is it through hunting in the mountains and forests? This idea sparks a light bulb in his mind, as he starts thinking that he always spent his time working at a desk, so he is inexperienced in hunting, so he questions his capabilities for hunting. He quickly gets a good idea that he can always learn how to hunt, and this will also increase his chances of falling off somewhere to his death or being eaten by the beasts. He smirks, happily saying that this hunting trip can actually be a pathway for him to soon join Junfei's father. With a crazy look on his face, he rushes to the mountains to hunt something, or get hunted by something. He goes to the mountain and purposely stands in front of a mountain boar. The boar runs towards him and Eula starts getting mixed emotions. He is scared of getting killed by the boar, but is happy to be soon reborn as a king. Just as the boar is about to hit him, Eula's hands move on their own and grab the horns of this boar. Yuli looks at his hands in shock and gets scared since his body is moving on its own. He lifts the boar up in the air and violently knocks it to the ground. He starts wondering if this was all due to the muscle memory of Junfei that he was able to defeat this boar so easily. Eula looks incredulous at what just happened, as he starts getting annoyed at Junfei for being such a powerful hunter. Since Eula had inherited Junfei's hunting skills and knowledge, his chances of getting killed during hunting have been reduced significantly. Eula becomes frustrated, yelling that his plan to die in the wilderness was perfect. Is he seriously going to have to live in this world for half a century? He looks at the sky and wishes for a stone to fall on his head and kill him. His wish is soon heard, but instead of hitting Yu Li, the stone hits his hut. He looks at his hut in shock. He thinks that a stone really fell from the sky, but instead of hitting him, it hit his house. What the hell is this? He quickly rushed inside the house to check what was going on. Inside the hut, everything was in a mess. He coughs and makes his way to where the stone has fallen. He starts picking up the wood remains of his hut and grumpily says what bad luck he has, thinking where he will be living from now on. As he was picking up the wood planks, his eyes widened when he saw a girl under the rubble. It was the same girl who had stolen the orb from the ecstasy sect earlier. She lies sprawled in front of him as he looks at her in shock. He looks at the cute girl in front of him and starts wondering how she had fallen from the sky. He also says she is equipped with a sword. He wonders if this is a cultivator from the legends. He looks at her and notices that she has not suffered from any fatal external injury. He slowly moves towards her and wonders whether she is alive or not. He puts his head on her chest to check if she is alive or not. He notices that this girl has no heartbeat and thinks that she is dead. He starts to mourn for her, saying she was such a young girl, what a shame. As he looks up, he notices the girl is looking at him weirdly. He gets confused to see her as she looks at him blankly. He suddenly jumps back from her and clears the misunderstanding that he wasn't trying to molest her by putting his head on her chest. He explains that he was just trying to help her. The girl's expression turns painful, and she tells him that it hurts somewhere. Yuli looks at her confused as a stone falls on his head from the broken hut. He takes her outside in the forest, telling her that they can't stay inside the house now that it's damaged. He tells her that he will try healing her wounds outside with the help of medicinal herbs. He looks around and starts thinking about how he will find the herbs, since he hasn't even lived there long enough to be able to find the right herbs. While he is trying to look for a method to help the girl heal her injuries, she takes off her robe and tells him that there is no need for him to find any herbs. He looks back at her and is shocked to see that she has taken off her robe entirely. His eyes bulge out of his face as he yells at her, asking her what she is doing. The girl uses some sort of magic and takes out some medicine. She puts on her poker face and tells Yu Le that her body is too weak at the moment, so she wants Yu Li to put the ointment on her. Blood spurts out of Yu Le's nose as he asks her if she is sure about it, and she tells him that cultivators don't care about such things. He hesitantly takes the medicine and tells her that she is really bold for doing such a thing, and she tells him that he is really kind. As Yu Le gets close to the girl and is about to apply the medicine, his face suddenly turns grim when he notices the wounds on this girl's back. He thinks that the wounds on her back look pretty serious. He applies the medicine to her wound and is shocked to see that the wound disappears so quickly. He wonders how this medicine can be so powerful and if it is an immortal treasure. Yu Li is about to tell the girl something about her wound, but she quickly dismisses it, saying it's a long story, while putting her robe back on. The girl introduces herself to Yu Li, saying her name is Zhao Shuli. She tells him that she is a cultivator from the Naiwan Sword School and shows her gratitude to Yu Li for his help. Dumbfounded by her introduction, he tells her that he is Yu Li and he is a hunter. He then points at the sky and asks her how she fell from the sky. She tells him that a few days ago, she was informed that the ecstasy sect of the demon school was hatching an evil plan. To stop them, she removed their magic guard, but she was quickly outnumbered and was chased down to this forest. She tells him that due to that fight and chasing, she fell on his house and destroyed it. He looks at her in confusion, but she tells him not to worry, as when she gets back to her sect, she is sure he will be compensated. Eula starts evaluating her and thinks about her strength. He thinks that if she was able to fight against so many opponents at the same time, then it means that she must be very strong. He then asks her what her plan was, and she tells him that there will be more attacks on her now since the artifact of the demon school was stolen by her. She needs to hurry up and inform her sect about this. Just as she is talking, she feels a strong wave of pain and splurts out blood in her hand. Yu Li becomes worried about her and tells her that her injuries are too serious, and that if she keeps going, she won't be able to make it. Withering in pain, Zhao Shuali tells him that if he can help escort her back to her sect, she will be very grateful to him. Yu Li was shocked and looked at her in confusion. Zhao Shuli realized what she had said and quickly told him to forget it since the mission was too dangerous for him. Yu Li asks her how far is her sect, and Zhao Shuli tells him that it will take around half a month for her to get there. Yu Li excitedly asks her if the demon sect will be following her, and she tells him yes, and that the journey will be very dangerous, and they need to have a lot of luck to avoid running into the demon sect. Hearing about the dangerous journey, Yu Li gets excited and an idea pops into his mind. Yu Li smirks and asks the system if it was allowed for him to die while escorting the girl. The system informs him that usually, peasants don't try to become heroes, but if Yu Li dies during the escort, the system will be activated. Zhao Shueli gets embarrassed and tells him that he can back out anytime if he doesn't want to escort her, but Yu Li wouldn't let this golden opportunity go to waste. He tells her that he will escort her to her sect, confusing the girl since she wasn't prepared for his answer to be a resounding yes. He gives her a motivational speech saying that Zhao Shueli has done so much for the common people, and now that she is in the middle of danger, although he is immortal, he will step up and help her fight against the demon cult. Zhao Shueli looks at him in confusion and thinks that this guy is plainly lying, but she isn't getting any malicious intent from him, so she decides to go to her sect with him. She asks him if he is sure, and Yu Lei enthusiastically agrees, saying she doesn't need to thank him since he is sure he will have good fortune. She tells him that they will need to move quickly since the demon sect will be following them soon, and Yu Le replies that he will prepare his stuff, and they can soon leave for their journey. He goes to Zhenfei's father's grace and tells him that he will be borrowing Zhenfei's body for a while. He thinks that the wilderness and beasts cannot kill him, but if he escorts Zhao Shuali on this journey and meets some of the demon cult members, surely death will come easier. He then excitedly laughs at his plan. Yu Li and Zhao Shuli then set on their journey. Back at the demon sect, Qingmei gets frustrated that Zhao Shuli has ruined the perfect plan that she had prepared for the ecstasy sect for the last 50 years. She angrily announces that she will make her pay for this. She addresses the man named Zhao Kuani and tells him that he is an elite of the demon sect, so she wants him to hunt down the elder Zhao Shuli of the sword school and bring their magical orb back. He assures her that he will do his best and get the orb back. Another cult member walks towards him and tells him that he needs to do his best since Zhao Shueli is extremely strong and won't be defeated that easily. She hands him a cape and tells him to take it just in case. He grabs it and feels immense power surging in him. He quickly turns towards Qingmei and asks if she is really giving this to him. She smiles and tells him that she is lending it to him temporarily, but if he manages to kill Zhao Shuli, she will reward him for sure. He bows and thanks her for the gift. Qingmei smirks and says to herself that Zhao Shueli is as good as dead now. She got her with the location tracking soul, catching incense so she won't be able to escape. He and Zhao Shuali are resting at their location at night. A strange smoke incense surrounds them. While Yuli is sleeping like a log, Zhao Shuli approaches him. She touches his chest and starts rubbing inside his shirt. Yula wakes up from the sensation and sees Zhao Shuli hovering over him, looking like she's in heat. Her eyes are dazed and her face is flushed. She falls on top of him and Yula gets another round of nosebleeds. He starts thinking that things with Zhao Shuli are moving too fast. He starts thinking that things are getting too exciting and that we shouldn't let the readers read this. Zhao Shuli lightly whispers in his ear, and Yula's mind goes out of focus. He looks at her in confusion as she tells him to be ready since the ecstasy sect is approaching their location soon. Yuli gets up alert and asks her how many people are here and where they are. She tells him to quiet down since their enemy is very clever and careful. She tells him that the man used a technique from the ecstasy sect called Witch Mountain, which causes a mist to surround the victim and causes their emotions and desires to be aroused. She tells him to look carefully at the red mist around him, and Yula looks around, noticing this mist around them. He gets embarrassed that he was seduced by this mist and thinks of his situation as that of a hentai. Yula says to himself that he's read countless stories himself and almost lost himself sometimes. Zhao Shuli looks at him confused and tells him that this magic only works on women. Now Yuli gets even more embarrassed since this means that he was basically having dirty thoughts about Zhao Shuali all by himself. She suddenly coughs and Yuli asks her if she is alright. While still looking flustered, she tells him that she can resist the mist for a while. Yuli helps her sit by the tree and asks her what they should do now. She tells him that they only have two options. The first option is pretty risky for her to do since that technique ensures that it will kill the enemy. But there is a chance that Yula could be killed as well. Hearing this first option, Yula gets excited since this is what he's been aiming for the whole time. He tells her that he is willing to try that method, but Zhao Shuali tells him that she can't let the man who saved her die in this way and proceeds to tell him about the second option. Hearing this from her, Yuli is not feeling well since he just missed his chance to die. She tells him that the second option is for him to find the man in hiding, and she will kill him herself. He asks her if she is sure to send him to find this man, and she informs him that the other person is using a concealing item. Since she is out of focus right now, she can't pinpoint this guy herself. She tells him that since he has grown up his whole life in the forest, maybe he could easily find this man's hiding place. She adds that she knows it will be hard for him to locate this man, but this is the only way to ensure his survival. He ensures her that he will find him no matter what. Yula starts smiling, thinking that this is the time when he dies and gets reincarnated into a new series. Meanwhile, the assassin was hiding near them. He thinks that the clothing given to him by the Saint Kingmei is wonderful. Not only does it prevent him from being spotted by spiritual searches, but it can also hide him from all five senses. He adds that even if Yu Li and Zhao Zhuli manage to touch him, they won't be able to tell what he is. The assassin laughs while looking at the duo, saying he is truly invisible. The assassin Zhao Kuani starts feeling triumph since he thinks that he just has to wait for the Witch's Mountain mist to affect Zhao Zhuili, and then he will make his move and kill her. He also thinks that killing her in this way is such a shame since if he could gather yin and nourish yang with her, it would not only be blissful, but he could also gain yin and speed up his cultivation. What's more, is that if he can get the ecstasy sect treasure back from her, he could get a good reward. Suddenly, he spots Yu Lei entering the forest where he is hiding, and he gets confused, thinking about where this mortal man came from, and if he was spotted by him. The assassin then realizes that Yu Li has not spotted him yet, but is looking for him at the moment. As Yu Li is passing near the assassin thinks that the idea of a mortal man like Yu Li finding him is ridiculous. He questions whether Yu Li can detect the changes in the air. The assassin adds that even if that's the case, he has manipulated the airflow to make it seem like he's south of them when he is actually north. The assassin gets happy, thinking to himself that there is no way Yu Li will find him. Just as he is thinking that Yu Li won't be able to find him, he sees an arrow approaching his head. The arrow shot by Yu Li hits the assassin, who deflects it with the help of magic. Yu Li, along with the assassin, is shocked by the arrow hitting right at the exact location where the assassin was hiding. They both scream in unison, with Yu Li saying his plan is ruined and the assassin saying that his position has been exposed. Yu Li squats down, confused as to how he was able to hit the enemy so accurately. He recalls his decision from 1 minute ago when he planned the whole shooting idea. He evaluated that the mist was coming from the south, so he assumed the enemy was hiding there, so if he shot north, he would definitely miss. He chose the shooting range to be out of Zhao Shuli's protection range and the opposite of the enemy's assumed location. He planned to shoot in an area without branches or leaves so that after he shot and picked up his arrow, the enemy could sneak up from behind and kill him. He starts crying, thinking that his perfect plan was completely ruined. Now that the man has been revealed, Zhao Shueli will definitely kill him. He looks at the assassin and watches him escape easily. He looks back at Zhao Shuili, wondering why she isn't moving to kill the assassin. He asks her why she didn't do anything. She gets embarrassed and tells him that her injury is still bad and attacking would make it worse, so she thought she would wait for him to find the assassin, but she didn't expect him to find him so quickly. Unexpectedly, she grabs his hand and tells him that she will do her best in the next shot, so to please find the assassin again. Eula pulls his hand away and tells her that he will do his best to find the assassin again, so to wait for him here. Eula pulls his arrow on the bow. He secretly thinks that he can't hit the assassin this time, and on the other hand, the assassin is also thinking the same, that Eula won't be able to hit him this time. The assassin smugly thinks that moving back to his old position will help him avoid getting hit, as Yuli would never guess that he decided to return to his original position. The assassin is happy, thinking his plan is perfect. At the same time, Eula makes another plan and thinks that the enemy won't be that stupid to move back to his original location again. He smiles, thinking that he will definitely miss the target this time, as the assassin waits for him to shoot his arrow. Eula shoots the arrow, and it directly hits the assassin, who deflects it again. Both of them get mad at the fact that their plans have been ruined once again. The assassin runs away again, and Eula looks back at Zhao Shuli questionably. He deadpan asks her if she still doesn't have time to prepare for the attack. She gets embarrassed and tells him that he is too quick. Yes, that's what she said. This time she becomes determined to hit the assassin and summons out her sword. She tells Yuli she is ready while blood spills out of her mouth. She wipes the blood from her mouth as she struggles to stand up with the help of her sword and tells Eula that she won't let the assassin escape again. If he finds the assassin, she will kill him. Yuli agrees with her a bit doubtfully but gets ready for the next attack. He pulls the arrow in his bow and he secretly wishes for the assassin to try harder and not let himself get hit with his arrow again. The assassin starts thinking that Zhao Shuli's medicine is about to take effect, so this will be his last chance to attack her and that it doesn't matter whether he lives or dies, as he is set to not waste this last chance. Eula moves his arrow following the assassin's movements without him knowing. Eula thinks about where should he shoot, while the assassin thinks about where should he hide. Eula thinks it's not safe to shoot anywhere, while the assassin thinks it's not safe to hide anywhere. Eula thinks he has to shoot somewhere the assassin wouldn't hide, while the assassin thinks he has to hide somewhere Eula wouldn't shoot. Both of them are determined not to let their plan get ruined again. The assassin leaps toward Eula from his back thinking he got him, and is about to attack him when suddenly, Eula moves the direction of his bow and arrow to the assassin's location to shoot him.
Oh shit, here we go again.
The assassin is recalling that at that time the arrow was 2 centimeters away from him, and it was too late to hide. He was shocked that Yuli actually saw him and thinks he was pretending not to be able to see him. He adds that Yuli was clearly playing him like a fiddle. So mean, so shameless. The assassin yells out, "Not his face," right before getting hit in the face by the arrow. Eula, annoyed at the situation unfolding before him, thinks that this assassin must be insane. Like, why did he jump into his arrow? Eula calms himself down and tries to find a reason to understand the assassin's questionable actions. He wonders if the assassin also has a system that needs him to die in order to be rewarded. Is this why he's jumping into my arrows? He asks himself. Zhao Shuili, not letting another opportunity slip by, realizes the situation at hand and rushes towards the assassin with her sword in hand while the assassin curses her. Zhao Shuili swings her sword at the assassin, saying, "Die, you evil demon!" Her blade strikes the assassin and her attack makes the sky glow pink and brightly. Eula looks towards the sky in awe and then sees the body of the assassin crash to the ground. Zhao Shuili lands on the ground right after, but Yuli is still focused on the dead body of the assassin and tries to wake the assassin up by calling out to him. He gets closer to the assassin, telling him that he has a question and proceeds to ask him why did he keep jumping into his arrows. The assassin tries to respond, but he can't speak due to his serious injuries. Yuli then secretly asks him if he is also trying to die. The assassin begins vomiting blood through his bandages. This makes Eula concerned for the assassin's well-being, telling him that he is bleeding so much and asking him if he is okay. Eula then gets angry and grabs the assassin by the collar, urging him not to die on him, and yelling at him to say something, as he still has more questions to ask. Eula calms down when he notices Zhao Shuili next to him, asking her if she is okay and if it isn't too early to put away her weapons. She responds that she's okay and tells him that the ecstasy sect was just testing them this time, but next time they will send someone even more powerful than the assassin. Eula says that there are many ways they could have taken to get to the sword sect and asks her how did the ecstasy sect knew which route they took. Embarrassed, Zhao Shuili says that she didn't tell him this before, but due to her injuries, she will definitely die if they don't get to the sword sect within half a month, and there are only 3 routes they could have taken to make it back in time. She adds that the ecstasy sect knew about this, so there's no other way. with a sad expression. She tells him that if he regrets agreeing to her request from earlier of escorting her back to her sect and would like to leave now, she won't blame him. Yuli smirks, telling Zhao Shuli that she is speaking nonsense as he promised to escort her back to her sect, so how can he give up now? While holding his laughter in, Yula thinks that she should relax as he will be here until he dies. Zhao Shuli thanks Yuli and approaches him to hug him, but something in her body catches Yuli's attention and he trips, falling head first into Zhao Shuli's precious melons.
Hell yes.
Yulei says he can't breathe and then pulls away from her, telling her that this is very inappropriate. A Zhao Shuali looking like she's in heat says that the witch's mountain is affecting her and asks Yuli if he could stay away from her for a little while. She adds that she wants to remove the effects of the witch's mountain, but it's not convenient when others are around. Yula tells her that he understands and that he will be going far away from this place and not to worry because he won't watch or listen. Back in the ecstasy sect, the Saint Shui Qingmei is holding a candle, which seems to be a tracking artifact, and thinks that as expected of the elder of the sword sect, but it's a shame that they lost such a valuable artifact in vain. While looking at a map with 3 circles on them, she wonders if Zhao Shuli can beat the guys waiting for her on her journey just as easily as she beat the assassin. The scene shifts to a city, where people are lining up to enter it. Yula thinks that although Zhao Shuli looks naive, she actually has a lot of combat experience. The ecstasy sect didn't send anyone else to fight them, and they arrived at their next destination, Jin, very easily. Yulei asks Zhao Shuli that if they are going to the Wen Sword sect, why do they have to stop in this city? While looking at a map, she replies because the guards in Jin guard the entrance to Siding. She adds that the Wen Sword sect is located in the state of Siding, which is a vassal state, and that Jinan is a city on the western border of Siding, guarding the entrance. Since she is injured, they'll have to hurry through this west entrance, so they have come through Jinan to get to Siding. While also looking at the map, Yula says he understands and asks her, so now that they are close to the sword sect, he wonders if the ecstasy sect still dares to follow them, all while secretly thinking to himself that if they don't dare to follow them, he will have to rely on Zhao Shuli to kill him. She replies that the Wen Sword sect is the biggest school, and that the ecstasy sect shouldn't try to challenge their strength. But the demon school has always tried to use every opportunity to gain power. She is sure that they'll send more and more dangerous ambushes at them. Yuli becomes excited at the thought that the ecstasy sect will send more and more dangerous threats to them, cheering them on, secretly saying to himself that his body is waiting for their sword. The scene shifts to a place where Zhao Shuili is taking a shower and Yuli is in an upside-down position, thinking to himself that he can't stand it anymore. He just wants to die, and to be safe they only rented one room. But being stuck alone in a room with Zhali, he doesn't feel safe at all. Zhao Shuili, while still naked, opens up the curtains to the shower, saying that the ecstasy sex people are here. The sight of her body makes Yula splurt out blood from his nose and fall over. While on the floor and still bleeding from his nose, he says they came so fast. Zhao Zhuali agrees with him while putting a towel on, saying she can feel it. Yula looks at her thinking that she has such a strong sense. The people from the ecstasy sect called out to Zhao Shuli from afar, with one of them telling Zhao Shuli that their hatred for her is unending, and another one tells her that they will get their revenge today. Zhao Shuli prepares herself, calling out the 3 enemies, the Mother of 5 Poisons, Ling Shengu the 1,000 Pieces, the Faceless Monk Wu Jiangxi, and Shi Yingpai, Sun Weishi, to come on out. Yuli, with a confused expression, wonders if Sun Weishi is seriously his name, and also wonders how she can tell the guy's name just from listening. He thinks cultivators are truly amazing. The door to the room forcefully opens, putting both Yuli and Zhao Shueli on high alert, with her telling him to be careful. The enemies stand in front of the door, and the short gray-haired old woman says that it is an honor that someone such as Zhao Shuli remembers their names after so long, and lets out a small laugh after this. She continues saying that she remembers when Zhao Shuli killed every single one of those poor people she sent, and that they don't forget those who have hurt them so much. Zhao Shuli smirks, saying, "Oh, those poor people," telling her to stop with the jokes. Zhao Shuli continues, the Mother of 5 Poisons who poisoned a river to stop a plague, the Faceless Monk who murdered people and cut their faces off to refine terrible things, Ling Shengu who consumed babies to cultivate and strengthen his soul, and Si Yingpai who used mortals to feed shadow beasts. While pointing her sword at the enemies, she shouts that none of them are innocent in the slightest. Meanwhile, Yuli is holding a small chair as a weapon. The thought then hits Yuli, thinking plague eating people. Yula puts the small chair down. The small gray-haired old woman, the Mother of 5 Poisons, shouts angrily, "What are mortals to cultivators like them?" She doesn't care what Zhao Shuli says, as she will not let her go. Zhao Shuli sternly responds, "Then why is she running her mouth?" telling her to begin the fight. While she begins taking off her towel, Yula rushes to the enemy holding the small chair as a weapon, telling them to die. But suddenly Zhao Shuli's towel hits him in the face, blocking his vision and forcing him to stop. Yula tells Zhao Shuli not to take her clothes off so randomly as they will get banned. Also, she is injured, so she should let him fight for her. He said all this while bleeding from his nose and having an angry look on his face. Yula then puts a cover on Zhao Shuali, telling her to wear that, and she says okay. The mother of 5 poisons asks Zhao Shuali if she is sure she wishes to fight in this place, which is in the middle of Jinan City. The mother of 5 poisons continues by saying that if all 5 of them fight and use their abilities, doesn't she think it would be dangerous for the mortals? She questions how many would die and then lets out a small laughter. Yula calls out to the mother of 5 poisons, asking her if she didn't hear him correctly the first time. He said he would fight for Zhao Shuali. The mother of 5 poisons points to Yu Li and asks Zhao Shuli if she thinks she can protect this mortal, although Yu Li, with an expressionless look, quickly responds not to worry about protecting him. Zhao Shuli, angry at the situation, thinks that these guys are so shameless and asks the enemies what exactly they want. The mother of 5 poisons says it's simple, really. If she can complete their test, they promise not to attack her anymore. He continues saying that they will bind their souls using the soul solidifying technique. They will obey the contract, and if any of them breaches the contract, their souls will perish instantly. Mother of 5 poisons asks Zhao Shuli what she thinks about this contract. The old woman thinks to herself that although all 4 of them are no match for Zhao Shuli, the situation changes if she signs this contract and that whatever happens will be up to them. Both Zhao Shuali and Yu Li look seriously at the old woman, and Yula thinks that even an idiot would be able to see that this is clearly a trap. How could these guys fool anyone? They are too obvious. Zhao Shuli accepts their deal, which catches Yula off guard. Yula tells her to think clearly, as these guys are clearly not trustworthy. Zhao Shuli says she knows this, but she can't allow him and the people of this city to die so easily. Yuli looks at the contract that is being displayed in front of them. The mother of 5 poisons praises her, calling her a smart warrior and telling her that they will begin now. The contract reads that Zhao Shuli agrees to take the 4 tests, each designed by the 4 enemies in front of her, and if she passes all 4 tests, the 4 enemies will never attack Zhao Shuli again. Anyone who breaks this contract will have their soul destroyed. Zhao Shuali raises her hand and is about to accept the contract, but Yula becomes suspicious, while the mother of 5 poisons smirks. Yuli is bothered by the contract and tells Zhao Shuli to wait a second, which catches her, the mother of 5 poisons, and the faceless monk off guard. Yula continues by saying that none of the actual contents or restrictions were written down in the contract. He questions 3 things. What if the test is for Zhao Shuli to kill her sex leader? Or what if it forces her to drink poison that won't kill her? What if the result doesn't satisfy them, and they blackmail her using the lives of the Jinan people again? Yu Li, while pulling his arm back, ready to strike, says angrily that this contract is full of loopholes. While destroying the contract display screen, he tells the mother of 5 poisons that she is just trying to force Zhao Shuli to accept the contract. As Yu Li does this, he thinks to himself that he knows he is supposed to die, but he can't bear seeing Zhao Shuli doing something this stupid. If they are forced to sign a contract, he will at least make sure it's good. The mother of 5 poisons threatens Yu Li, telling him that he is just a mortal, so how dare he say such things. Yu Li begins mocking the old woman, telling her that she is scared and is obviously threatening people, which annoys the old woman. The old woman angrily tells Zhao Shuli not to listen to Yu Li as his slandering can't destroy her reputation. Zhao Shuli smirks and asks the old woman if they even have a reputation to ruin. Meanwhile, Yula points his middle finger at the old woman. Zhao Shuli demands that the old woman change the contract, or they will fight, as she is willing to bear the consequences that come with fighting. The group of 4 begin discussing their game plan, with the old woman saying they can't fight Zhao Shuali because they will definitely lose. The long-bearded man known as Ling Shengu says that maybe they can modify the contract and still win, and the faceless monk calls Yu Li an asshole, and that if it weren't for Zhao Shuali protecting him, he would have killed Yu Li a long time ago. The taller man, Sai Yingpai, says what are they so afraid of, and how can they be sure they can't win if they haven't even tried fighting? His 3 colleagues get annoyed by his words and yell at him that they don't want to die, with the old woman and the faceless monk punching him to the side. The old woman tells Yu Li that since he is so concerned, they are willing to make changes to the contract. Yula tells her okay, but the contract needs to have 3 changes. Firstly, the test must be within the capabilities of the 4 of them. Secondly, the tests must be possible for both him and Zhao Shuli to pass without dying or being injured. Before mentioning the 3rd edit to the contract, Yu Li thinks that it looks like these 4 were so confident about this contract, so it seems they prepared really hard for this. Otherwise, they wouldn't have Zhao Shuali sign it. He then says thirdly, after they pass the test, the 4 of them must leave this city and go somewhere uninhabited where they must never intervene with this world again. Yu Li, with a playful expression, thinks that it's best to keep the content of the test because like this, he can help Zhao Shuali, and it won't hinder his plans of finding death. This is perfect for him. The old woman thinks that Yu Li saw through their plans to kill Zhao Shuali and wants to use these harsh restrictions to prevent Zhao Shuali from signing the contract. The woman ends up deciding that they will accept Yu Li's conditions because Zhao Shuali won't pass the test regardless. After her thoughts, Yu Li tells the old woman to also make the change so it is him taking the tests and not Zhao Shuali. The old woman laughs at this and agrees with this change, telling him he brought this upon himself, calling him a foolish mortal and that he will regret this. Yu Li thinks that the only thing he will regret is not signing this contract. The old woman begins conjuring her magic, and the contract is updated to reflect Yu Li's conditions. Zhao Shuali, with a worried expression, tells Yu Li that he doesn't have to do this, but Yu Li responds
Bitch!
that the 4 enemies signed the contract as a group, so how will it be fair for him not to be included? Zhao Shuali shows a serious expression, while Yu Li thinks this contract is perfect for signing, since it is clearly a deadly trial. Yu Li bites his finger and signs the contract using the blood from his finger. Zhao Shuali asks if she is really partners with Yu Li and thinks that she has always worked alone. She thinks Yu Li is just a mortal, but is willing to fight alongside her while stretching her hand to sign the contract. As she signs the contract, she thinks that she will let him sign it with her, and that she will protect him. Yu Li begins stretching like Goku and asks what this test is. The old woman explains that their test is for the cultivator Zhao Shuali. What does it have to do with a mortal like him? Yu Li explains that the contract has his name on it, so he must have the capability to complete it. He adds that he knows they want to cheat Zhao Shuali somehow, so he wants to help her out. Are they afraid that they will defeat them? Zhao Shuali is touched by Yu Li's words. The old woman, while grabbing the old man's long beard, becomes irritated, telling Yu Li that he is so confident. She angrily pulls the old man's beard and insults Yu Li, adding that if he wants to die so badly, then she will comply. The old woman then says her test is about poisoned wine. They must drink 3 out of these cups to complete the challenge. The long, bearded man says that his test is very simple, they just have to play a game with him. The faceless monk says that his test is about debating. Finally, the taller man Shi Yingpai says his test is to survive 15 minutes with his shadow beast without dying. The old woman then tells Yu Li to choose, now calling him a fool. As Yu Li is about to choose, Zhao Shuali grabs his arm and tells him no. She tells him that she appreciates his help, but this is a matter of life and death, so he should let her do this. Yu Li says that he's worked so hard for this opportunity, so she better not ruin this for him now. Though Zhu Li tells Yu Li that his mortal body is too weak for this and he will surely die, she can't allow him to take this risk. Yu Li is annoyed by this but quickly calms down because he remembers that if he tries too hard to die, the system will judge him as committing suicide, and it won't give him the power. Yu Li quickly turns around, trying to wake up his system. This confuses the old woman and the old man. The system appears in front of Yu Li, and he tells it that he took it upon himself to sign this contract and asks the system if dying in the test will count as suicide. The system tells him that this is deemed to be a heroic act to save his companions, so if death isn't certain, it doesn't count as suicide. Yu Li thinks that this is great, but now he has to convince Zhao Shuali to let him participate. He thinks he will have to use that trick. Yu Li then tells Zhao Shuali that it seems she is just like the 4 enemies in front of them, thinking he is worthless and incapable of completing their test. These words catch Zhao Shuali off guard, as Yu Li continues saying that he thought on this journey they had become friends who could trust each other, and he even signed the contract for her. But in the end, she still thinks of him as a mere mortal, despite everything he has done for her. Zhao Shuali is touched by these words while the old man and old woman are eating popcorn and enjoying this soap opera. With a serious look, Yu Li says, I won't listen, la 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 la, while his expression changes to something oddly suspicious, and Zhao Shuali looks disgusted. The duo of old people become disgusted as well. Zhao Shuali tells him that he can participate but not to come any closer to her. Yu Li thanks her, thinking to himself that he executed this so perfectly. Yu Li becomes serious and says that he wishes to complete the old woman's challenge first. He thinks that of course he would choose the poisoned wine first, as this method will provide a quick and efficient death. If it weren't for the fact that he can't commit suicide, he would have drunk the wine a long time ago. The old woman prepares the cups and places them on the table. She tells Yu Li that he must pick a cup in each column to drink. Once he finishes drinking 3 cups, he will have passed the test. She also mentions that according to the contract rules, not all of the cups are poisoned, so he must use his abilities to identify the non-poisoned cups. Yu Li thinks that if he picks the cups at random, surely at least one of them will be poisoned. But he says then again he did hit that invisible assassin in the forest 3 times with 3 arrows. He needs to play this safe. He looks intensely at the cups, noting that the first 3 cups all look as clear as water with no difference between them. so he grabs a cup and drinks it, saying it has no taste. He grabs a second cup and says that it looks suspicious. He takes a sip of it, and his body becomes stiff as he says that his legs and arms feel numb. Yula falls over, and Zhao Shuli, with a worried expression, calls out to him, asking him if he is okay. Yuli, still with a stiff body, says he is okay, and the old woman asks if he really had such a reaction from a single sip. She almost forgot that this wasn't her sect, so she suggested that he give up now. Yuli, struggling to stand up, once again affirms that he is okay as he thinks that the stronger the poison, the easier it will be to guarantee his death. Yulei says to let him try the third cup, but as he reaches for it, he remembers that the second cup isn't finished yet, so he grabs it. He becomes shocked when he sees something melting inside the cup, similar to acid. So he becomes excited, thinking he has found the right cup, and he quickly gulps it down his throat. Yula begins meditating, wishing himself to die. After waiting for a long time, he realizes he's still not dead. The mother of 5 poisons tells him that he is better than she thought. It looks like he realized that the 10,000 dry trees is made of a plant that is corrosive but harmless to humans. She asks him about who taught him about such poisons. Yuli, all angry, thinks that nobody taught him anything, and how can something be both corrosive but harmless to humans? How is that even possible, and if this world has no rules? The old woman asks him why is he not saying anything. Is he afraid of getting his master in trouble? She tells him not to worry as she won't cause any problems if he tells her. Yuli, with a worried expression knowing that she's misunderstanding the situation, says, "It's not that." Yula tells the old woman that she misunderstood as he does not have a master, and that he has never studied about poisons. The old woman tells him to forget the question and move on to the next cup. Yuli is contemplating which cup should be the next one he drinks. He thinks that from the first group of cups, the old woman made sure to make the safe one look the most dangerous to mislead him. He can't believe the cup that looked like it had acid inside wasn't lethal. He looks at the second set of 3 cups and thinks he should try the most harmless-looking one. As he reaches for that cup, he realizes something and calls himself an idiot while his inner self slaps him into reason. He thinks that he can't pick the first cup because surely the old woman wouldn't use the same pattern in the second group of cups as in the first. He thinks it must be the other way around, so if he picks the most dangerous-looking one, surely it must be the one with poison. As Yuli is about to grab the black-colored cup, he hesitates and thinks that what if the old woman guessed he would behave differently? Like what if she planned it in a way such the poison cup is in the most ordinary-looking cup after all? He then thinks that no, the old woman could have foreseen his actions and must have known that he would have struggled between the first and third cup and actually put the poison in the second cup. He then goes nuts, thinking he can't stand it. In which cup did she actually put the poison in? Yuli is crying over the table as he struggles to make a choice, as he can't figure out which cup has the poison, calling for someone to save him. He then says out loud, while pointing at the middle cup, if it's the purple one, or if it's the third cup on the right while pointing at it. He notices that the old woman frowned at the last question, so Yula thinks it must be the third cup, the black one. As he draws the black water cup closer to his face, he notices that the old woman's reaction is getting stronger, so he thinks that this must be the cup with the poison in it. He then changes his mind and thinks that maybe the black cup is the one without poison so he won't drink it. Since the other 2 cups must both be poisoned, it doesn't matter which one he picks, so he grabs the cleared water-looking cup. He drinks the cleared water-looking cup while laughing on the inside, thinking that he was very careful with his decision and that he almost chose the cup without poison by mistake. The old woman finds the situation interesting, thinking that Yula's knowledge of poisons must be pretty good as he was able to detect the only cup without poison out of the 3, adding that his master must have thought him well. This makes Yula feel sour and sad, as he really thought he had chosen the cup with poison this time. But our boy just keeps getting lucky or unlucky in his case, avoiding death every time. With tears running down his face, Yula thinks, why is this happening to him? How is this even possible? He snaps at the old woman, yelling at her saying, why was she frowning just now? What was she playing at? And threatens her that she better watch out, or he will report her, catching old woman off guard. The old woman snaps back at him, yelling that she was frowning because he was pondering for too long, and she got fed up with it. If it weren't for Zhao Shuli next to him, she would have killed him 3 times over already. Zhao Shuli praises Yuli, telling him that his knowledge of poisons is amazing, and that she can't believe he is able to beat this test so easily. She tells him that he can do this, just 1 more cup. Yuli has tears coming down his face, looking sad, as he thinks that Zhao Shuli shouldn't be cheering him on. With a forced expression, trying to look at least a bit happy, he tells Zhao Shuli that he will do his best, but she instead becomes worried, asking him if he was okay. Back to the poison cup test, Yula thinks that the harder he thinks the more he fails in his quest of dying. From now on he will just grab a cup and quickly drink it. Yula quickly grabs the green cup and gulps it down. He thinks it tasted sweet like Nongfu spring water. He starts feeling weird and thinks to himself if he actually picked the one with poison this time. Yula starts spitting out blood and Zhao Shueli yells out his name in concern. The old woman starts laughing and says that Yula will now die this time. As Yu Li is on the ground, Zhao Shueli asks the old woman what she did. The old woman laughs, saying that although Yula guessed the last 2 cups correctly, he had no chance of getting the last one right, and that is because all of the last cups were poisoned. She begins laughing maniacally at this. She continues by saying that Yu Li picked the first cup in the first group, the third cup in the second group, and then the second cup in the last group. But the only way to survive the last group was by drinking all of the cups in order to cancel out the poison. The old woman affirms that this is indeed the only way to survive, and that it's a shame Yula only has 2 hours to live. Suddenly, Yuli gets up, looking a bit hurt, and asks the old woman if what he just drank was really poison because he feels it doesn't hurt and also feels like he can still play. Zhao Shuali is puzzled by the mention of the word play. The old woman brushes off Yula's comments and says that it's just his body easing his final moments. Yula gets a bit excited and says he can relax then. He thinks it is brilliant that after so long, he can finally die. The old woman, while looking at Yu Li, thinks that he is fatally poisoned, so why is he laughing? She brushes off the thought, saying that it is Zhao Shuali she should actually be worried about. The old woman then tells Zhao Shuli that she still has 3 tests to pass and no one to help her. These words alert Zhao Shuli. Yuli interrupts and says to hold on a moment as he is still not dead. He yells at the old woman not to prey on Zhao Shuali like that. While looking like a gangster and pointing his middle finger at the old woman, he tells her that if he still has 2 hours to live, he will take on another challenge. He says that the next challenge he will take is the board game. These words and actions make Zhao Shuli feel a bit shy in the background. Yula smirks, thinking that he will use the next test to ensure his death further, wishing that they drain the life out of him. We then see the long, bearded man and Yula quickly moving the board game pieces, with Yula smiling, saying he feels like he will die soon. Yula feels his body is getting heavier, telling the readers he's about to ascend. The old man thinks for a second and tells Yuli to please not embarrass himself as he's clearly going to win. Yu Li, while still smiling, says the old man won't win and that he will show him how to play the game like a champion. He then raises a board piece up in the air and tells the old man to watch his 2-way triple, blocking thunderbolt technique. Suddenly, Yuli's eyes widen and multiple pieces fall onto the board. He then holds his head yelling in pain, saying that it hurts so much. Zhao Shuli is worried about him and asks him if he's okay and if the poison has taken its effect. The old woman laughs, saying that the poison in Yuli's body has been flowing through his veins all this time, and that it's finally starting to kick in thanks to him thinking about the board game. Zhao Shuali asks what tricks they are up to, but the old man replies that there are no tricks and that it's simply his magic weapon called Ming Yu, and it attacked Yu Li without his knowledge. In the background, the old woman and the faceless monk think that every time they hear him talk about this, they suddenly want to pretend they don't know him, but the old man tells them to shut up. The long, bearded old man continues, saying that this chessboard causes damage to the player's soul every time a piece is taken, and that it's intended to help someone with their cultivation. But for a mortal like Yu Li who hasn't cultivated the soul, the pain manifested by hurting his mind and draining his energy. Zhao Shuali reasons that Yu Li is in so much pain, and that the secret weapon must be draining his energy too fast, while the old woman says that even without her poison, Yu Li will be crippled by this weapon. Zhao Shuali urges Yu Li to let her take this round, but he tells her not to stop him and to let him live out his few remaining moments in this final fight. Yu Li gets up looking exhausted. He wonders about the weapon draining his energy and thinks this is just like his previous life. He will die by exhaustion and that he's already used to this. He then stands tall, looking at a shadow, like monster, and tells it to bring it on. 15 minutes later, Yu Li and the old man are still playing the board game, both looking exhausted. Yu Li, breathing heavily, goes on to make another move, thinking that this is exhausting. The old woman lets out a small laugh, thinking that Yu Li won't hold out much longer. Zhao Shuali urges Yu Li not to put the board piece down yet and to wait a moment, but he tells her not to worry about him as he can handle this. Another 15 minutes go by, and the exhausted old man questions Yu Li if he's really just a mortal. Yu Li, looking in even worse shape, replies that he is, and that he's teaching the old man the strength and will of ordinary people. He then places a piece down on the board and tells the old man that it's now his turn. As the old man is about to make his move, his eyes turn white and he says he can't win, and then falls to the floor from exhaustion. Yu Li remains standing as the victor of the game, thinking that an ordinary person like him beat a cultivator. He then forces a smile with one eye closed and says that he won. Shortly after, he begins to splurt out blood from his mouth while Zhao Shuali calls out to him and asks him if he's feeling alright. The old woman is visibly shocked, asking if this is really possible, and if Yu Li really beat the poison. Yuli is confused by the old woman's question, and Zhao Shuli looks happy asking him if he really beat the poison. The old woman angrily points at Yula, calling him a bastard, saying he saw through her tricks from the beginning and waited for it to turn around, and managed to beat the poison. She says all of this is making her really angry. Yuli, while looking dead on the inside, repeatedly thinks that he beat the poison. The long-bearded old man tells the old woman to stop complaining and asks her what kind of trick Yula used. The old woman tells him that she was afraid that Yula knew that his test was not about the game but rather vitality. So when Yula chose the poison cup, he chose the cup with the pyrotechnic meteor poison in it. As Yuli and the old man wonder about this, she further explains that the pyrotechnic meteor poison is one of her sect's secret concoctions and that it's truly incredible. After drinking the poison, the person's body becomes 100 times more energized, and as the body is unable to withstand the energy, it then explodes. However, when Yula used the old man's board, it offset the energy that was given by the pyrotechnic meteor poison, and once the power of the concoction is used up, the poison is eliminated from the body. The old woman tells the old man that he lost the game due to the power from the pyrotechnic meteor poison. She adds that this is something not even the creators of the poison could think of. Yuli looks annoyed at this explanation, asking the old woman if she's insane, as he does not know what she's talking about. He didn't even know there was poison in that cup. The taller man, Shi Yingpai, tells the old woman she is overthinking this. He asks how Yuli could have known about this beforehand, or does she think Yula came up with this plan in such a short amount of time? This must surely be a coincidence. Yula finds comfort in Shi Yingpai's words, agreeing and saying he truly understands the situation. The old woman asks Shi Yingpai if he really thinks this is a coincidence. Then why was Yula grinning so much when he signed the contract? Shi Yingpai replies that perhaps Yuli is really stupid and is not as smart as he looks. The old woman then asks him why Yuli was so calm after he realized he had drunk the poison. Shi Yingpai is unable to answer this question. She continues saying that Yuli had asked her if he had really drunk poison, and she thought it was very strange at the time, but she realized just now that Yuli was mocking her ignorance. Yuli, unable to believe the misunderstanding unfolding before him, starts to cough up more blood, making Zhao Shuali worry. The old woman says that Yula managed to figure out her and Ling Shengu's plans. She then thinks about Yuli's name, and with a worried look on her face, she asks Yuli if he's the son of the eternal demon master Yu Shuiwan. Yuli is confused and asks who that person is and tells the old woman to please not force any new names on him. Zhao Shuali also becomes tense as she thinks of the word Wu in Yula's name. Yula becomes really upset due to the old woman's misunderstanding, and he threatens the old woman, telling her to stop spreading such random ideas or he will beat her up, adding that even Zhao Shuali is reacting strangely to her nonsense. Yuli angrily says that his father isn't Yu Shuiwan, and wasn't even a cultivator. Yuli yells loudly that his father was just an ordinary hunter. The old woman says that's right. This pisses off Yuli as he threatens her with a knife, asking her what the hell is she saying. What does she mean by, "That's right"? What exactly is right, he asks. The old woman says that the eternal demon master was a hunter before he started cultivating, and that is possible he returned to his old profession after his cultivation. She tells Yuli that he looks around 20 years old, and that the eternal demon master disappeared from the world 20 years ago. She adds that Yuli is the eternal demon master's secret child who was born after he went into hiding. These words annoyed Yuli even further, making him curse from frustration. Everyone in the room looks at Yuli in disbelief as they can't believe he is the son of the eternal demon master. But Yuli quickly denies the claim. Yuli gets close to Zhao Shuli and tells her that his dad was killed by a wild animal, and if his dad was so incredible, how could he die in such a pathetic way? These words make the old woman once again say, "That's right." These words annoy Yula once again as he angrily asks her what she means by "that's right." Is she a yes man? The old woman says that 20 years ago, the Eternal Demon Master fought the Master of the Tyrants and that, according to the legends, the Eternal Demon Master was defeated and suffered a very severe injury. He either died from his injuries or was reduced to a mere mortal. But it seems now that the rumor must be true. Yula brushes off the old woman's story, saying she's lying. Suddenly, Yula notices Zhao Zhuli preparing to take out her sword, but he tells her not to as he still has something to say. He tells her that he doesn't have any cultivation abilities, and if the Eternal Demon Master was really his father, why wouldn't he pass his abilities on to him? The old woman tells Yuli to stop playing dumb, as everyone knows about the Eternal Demon Master's abilities, the Eternal Demon Technique, and that cultivating it takes over 30 years. These words make Yula question the situation, as he wonders if it's possible that the body he transmigrated into was actually the son of the Eternal Demon Master. But he quickly brushes off this idea. He reasons that Yulai is not the name of the original owner of the body he's inhabiting, but his actual name from his world. He's been confused by the strange old woman. Yu Li becomes calm for a second as his mind clears up from the confusion, and then he quickly snaps at the old woman, telling her that she got it all wrong, and that how can she believe this stuff. The old woman says that since Yu Li is the son of the eternal demon master, he should be part of their demon sect, so why is he helping Zhao Shuli? This makes Zhao Shuli question Yu Li, asking him why he is helping her. Yu Li, with an annoyed expression, thinks that he's so freaking done with all of this, while looking at the old woman. He reasons that if he denies what the old woman says again, she might come up with something new. Yu Li then turns to look at Zhao Shuli and thinks that he has neutralized the poison, so if Zhao Shuli kills him with her sword, he should be fine. But what if she just beats him up? How will he die then? He reasons that there are still 2 tests to go, so he still has a chance to die. Whatever the deal is with this demon cult, it doesn't matter to him. Yu Li then says that he thinks that evil comes from within a person's heart, not from the techniques they learn, and in his heart, he's a good person. He has not completed all of the tests, so they should complete the contract. He then asks Zhao Shuli, who is wary of him, to please let him take on the next tests, and that if he does this, can she believe him? As Zhao Shuli places her hand over her heart, she ponders about Yu Li's words that evil comes from a person's heart. The faceless monk bows to Yu Li, saying he is worthy of being the eternal demon master's son, as he is courageous and incredibly tolerant. Yu Li asks the faceless monk if it's just him and what about the others, as he thinks that he's terrible at debating and that getting along with the shadow beast for so long will be impossible, so his chances of dying have doubled, and it's hard to believe he will survive this. Si Yingpai says that Yu Li is not even concerned with what's about to happen, and when the faceless monk asks Si Yingpai if he has decided, he replies of course. Both the faceless monk and Shi Yingpai get on their knees, hugging Yu Li's legs and calling him master while crying. Faceless monk says that the eternal demon master used to be his master, and Shi Yingpai says that he was also commanded by him. The men tell him that since Yu Li is his son, then Yu Li is now their master and they are willing to give up. The old woman calls both men traitors, asking them if they have no shame, but she suddenly starts crying with the long, bearded old man, both saying that Yu Li didn't even think about them. This makes Yu Li and Zhao Shuli look at each other in confusion. Yu Li tells the faceless monk and Shi Yingpai that their test still hasn't finished, so they should hurry up and finish it now. But both men reject this, saying there's no need, as they give up. The scene turns into Yu Li grabbing both men by their collars, urging them to bring out their weapons and beasts, as he thinks they should let him die, while both the old woman and man wonder if they will be able to escape from there alive. A thought then hits the old woman, making her say she understands. This annoys Yu Li, as he yells at her, asking what she think of now. The old woman says that Yu Li signed the contract as a cover to make them bring out their weapons and beasts, so he could kill them and take them, and the reason he wanted them to go far away after they were defeated was so he could kill them. She then calls him despicable and shameless, while the other 3 also throw insults at Yu Li. This makes Yu Li angry, thinking that he's seriously going to kill this old woman, but suddenly Zhao Shuli steps in, demanding that this farce end now. She says that since they've given up, they should honor the contract and go to the west and stay there. These words make the demon sect members look at her in silence for a moment and then quickly take the opportunity to run outside, praising Zhao Shuli for being so powerful and saying that although she has beaten them so badly, they are still honorable people and that they will obey the contract, telling her they will meet again. Yu Li sits down, saying that they got nowhere after messing around for so long, and it seems like he only ended up more tired than when they started. Zhao Shuli, while putting away her sword, tells him not to act like that, as he has either underestimated the old woman and the others or overestimated her. She adds that in her current condition, she wouldn't be able to beat them. Yu Li tries to say that's not what he meant, but instead says whatever, and that they should just go to sleep. Zhao Shuli tells him to hold on. She has something to talk to him about as she puts her hand within her breasts, and this action startles Yu Li, making him assume dirty thoughts. Zhao Shuli pulls out a big orb from within her breast and shows it to Yu Li, asking him if he knows why the ecstasy sect is chasing her so much. Yu Li asks where she pulled that orb from and also replies if it isn't because she damaged their sect. While showing him the orb more closely, she says it's because she stole this artifact from them called the Orb of Bewitchment. She explains that the Orb of Bewitchment is one of the ecstasy sect's treasures, which they found in an ancient secret realm, and it can strengthen demon-type techniques. But the most dangerous thing about this artifact is that it can corrupt people. It can make people's hearts cold, turning them into truly terrible people, and the ecstasy sect will use it to summon a powerful demon if left in their hands. Yu Li touches the orb, thinks about how powerful it is, and asks Zhao Shuli if there are any other artifacts like it. Zhao Shuli puts away the orb between her breasts and says that the other artifact is the Soul Eater banner. But because of how things went, she wasn't able to get it. She says that she didn't tell him this before, because she didn't think it was that important and that it's possible that even she could become corrupted by the orb, let alone immortal, and that even her telling him about this is dangerous. Zhao Shueli looking straight at Yula then says, but things are different now. She has told him about the secret of the orb of bewitchment, and she has no more secrets to hide. She asks Yu Li if he can tell her his secrets now. Yula looks a bit worried as he thinks that after all they've been through, does he really have to explain it all? And if he doesn't answer her question, will she send him away? Yuli imagines himself with a resolved expression, grabbing Zhao Shuli's hand and telling her that he has transmigrated into this world, and that he has a system that needs him to die in order to be unlocked. But he then thinks that he can't say such a thing to her. Zhao Shuli looks intensely at Yu Li, which makes him say internally to please not look at him like that. Yu Li then raises 2 fingers saying that he promises her that he will never harm her, and when she's in danger, he will gladly take her place. He also says that he has a few more secrets that he must keep to himself, but he promises that he will never hurt her, stating that it's complicated. Zhao Shuli thinks for a moment and then smiles while giving him a thumbs up, saying that it's okay as everyone has secrets they can't tell. So she believes him. This makes Yu Li think that this was too easy. She and Zhao Shueli are now on the road inside a horse carriage. Yula, feeling sick, thinks that the mother of poisons and the other idiots gave him so much hope, but they turned out to be bullets who ran away so rapidly, and that they also made Zhao Shueli doubt him. Zhao Shuli looks at Yu Li, asking him if he's feeling okay as he doesn't look very good, but suddenly Yu Li begins to throw up outside the carriage. She tells him to endure it a bit longer as they are currently safe here, and that they can rest at the inn, that they will be arriving at soon. Yula looks both annoyed and sick when he thinks of the word, safe, further thinking, why would he want to be safe, he just wants to die. They finally arrive at the Lucky Inn, and Zhao Shuli thinks that this inn is the only place they can rest on this road, and that it's normally so lively, and she wonders why it seems so quiet. Zhao Shuli says that it's too quiet, and that it's possible the ecstasy sect got here before them to ambush them. Yula, feeling dizzy, thinks that he's already out of hope and that it seems he'll die faster from throwing up than being killed. Suddenly, a bell sounds from Shui Qingmei's ankle bracelet alerting her arrival, and she welcomes Zhao Shuali on her arrival. Yula snaps out of his dizzy state and hears multiple members of the ecstasy sect approaching Shui Qingmei. Yula asks what's going on, but he realizes that a battle is about to occur, thinking that this is fun. Shui Qingmei says that those 4 old losers were so unreliable as they let Zhao Shuli escape without any harm, and that it seems she has to rely on herself to kill her. Zhao Shuli sternly asks Shui Qingmei why she is here, and she replies by asking Zhao Shuli if she's scared. Yuli asks if Zhao Shuli is injured badly, but Shui Qingmei leaps forward while laughing and then says that the 6 Desires Grand Formation has already been completed. She tells Zhao Shuli that she will die here today. Shadow creatures approach Yu Li and Zhao Shuli, but Zhao Shueli gets rid of them in one strike and asks Shui Qingmei if she thinks she's worthy. As Zhao Shuli is about to launch her counter-attack, Yu Li happily rushes towards the enemy thinking to let him go as he will save Zhao Shueli. Li is rushing towards Shui Qingmei, which catches her off guard, making her panic. She's then seen flying as she yells in mid-air with one of her subordinates who is watching this, saying wow. Shui Qingmei lands on the floor looking injured with one of her subordinates asking her if she's okay. She slowly rises as her body trembles with anger as she tells her subordinates to kill them all for her. She says to kill that guy, referring to Yu Li. As the ecstasy members advance to kill Zhao Shueli and Yu Li, Zhao Shuli counters their attack with a purple explosion sending all of them flying back while Yula stands still and expressionless, saying that Zhao Shuli said she was seriously wounded, but does this look like she's seriously wounded? He then asks if she will even give him a single chance of dying. Zhao Shuli, looking at Shui Qingmei, declares that the most powerful leader of the ecstasy sect fell beneath her sword. She says she's surprised that the ecstasy sect sent someone as inexperienced as Shui Qingmei. Why didn't they send the young master of the ecstasy sect? She asks. Shui Qingmei, looking visibly injured, says that the young master will avenge them. Then she suddenly succumbs to her injuries and collapses on the floor, while Yula wonders if she's dead. Shortly after, Zhao Shuli drops her sword and also collapses, with Yula quickly noticing this. Yula grabs Zhao Shuli, asking her if she's okay, but she coughs and tells Yulei that she used her last bit of energy to break through the enemy's encirclement, and now she's powerless, betting that even Yuli could kill her now. Yula thinks that this isn't right as it would be easy for Zhao Shuli to kill him instead. Yuli tells Zhao Shuli that the Saint Shui Qingmei looked super powerful, and that he can't believe she was so weak. Zhao Shuli explains that Shui Qingmei is the ecstasy sect's priestess and that she's powerful at deceiving people, but in fights, she's worthless. Yuli holds Zhao Shuli, telling her that her injuries are quite critical, so they should head back to the tavern to rest. But suddenly a sword approaches them, and Zhao Shuli pushes Yuli away, telling him to watch out. Shui Qingmei lands a hit on Zhao Shuli, stabbing her in the stomach. Shui Qingmei laughs, telling her that she knew this would work as she played dead in order to trick Zhao Shuili into lowering her guard. Zhao Shuili quickly removes the sword from her stomach, and while she stands injured and bleeding from her stomach, Yula calls out to her as he runs towards her. He places his hand on her wound, asking her if she's okay. Shui Qingmei begins to run away while saying that dying beasts are the most vicious and dangerous ones, so she won't stick around. She tells Zhao Shuili that she and the young master of the ecstasy sect will be waiting for her at Duhikao, and that she better come or else she'll use the citizens around Duhikao as a sacrifice for the Soul Eater banner. Yula angrily shouts at Shui Qingmei, asking her if all demon cult people like her are just full of empty threats, calling them bastards. Scene shifts to the Duiko shore, where a blonde young man appears from the sky surrounded by lightning. He lands on the roof of a structure while Shui Qingmei and her subordinates look up to see him, with many noticing that he's the young master of the ecstasy sect. The young man jumps down as he shows off his flying skills, and a member of the sect questions why he is making such a fancy entrance, while another says that it seems that's what his flying looks like. Shui Qingmei greets the young master, and as soon as she mentions the name of Zhao Shuili, the young master disappears, making her question where he went. The young master is then seen cowering behind his sect members, questioning if Zhao Shuili is coming and asking where she is, but Shui Qingmei, who is in disbelief at this sight, tells him not to worry as she has already wounded Zhao Shuili, and she doubts Zhao Shuili can even lift her sword anymore. The coward of a young master then changes his expression, saying not bad. He then smirks and says that this is excellent for the Soul Eater flag sacrifice, as he took some forbidden medicine in order to advance his cultivation, but this ended up hurting his foundation. The young master, with a devious expression, says that now he can easily kill Zhao Shuili to get the Orb of Bewitchment and undo the damage done to his foundation. At the same time, Shui Qingmei looks at the young master and thinks about his behavior and questions whether the future of the ecstasy sect will be okay. The scene shifts to Zhao Shuli's classroom, where she teaches Yuli that the path of cultivation is divided into 5 stages: human, artist, spirit, Tao, and heaven, and Yuli is shown to be below the human stage. She continues by saying that each stage is separated into 10 levels, and the 10th level of the heaven stage is considered the top level of cultivation. Yuli asks her which level she's at, to which she boastfully says that she's a 10th level Tao. She also tells him that the young master of the ecstasy sect is a 1st level Tao, while the mother of 5 poisons and her group are 10th level spirits. We then see a group of prisoners with somebody yelling, saying to take them. A man tells the prisoners to quickly kneel, calling them pathetic mortals. The young master of the ecstasy sect holds the Soul Eater banner in his right hand, and while looking at the prisoners with light red eyes, he says that today he will show them the power of the Soul Eater banner. He activates the artifact, and the souls of the prisoners begin to escape their bodies, and the young master says that the souls of these mortals have been refined into a fine, pure source of energy. He then wonders what the energy produced by Zhao Shuli's soul will taste like, and with a big grin on his face, says he wants to try it right now. Back at the Lucky Inn, a bird gets startled by the loud screams of Yu Li, who deeply worries that Zhao Shuli is not breathing. Yula begins to panic and says that Zhao Shuli is dead, so his task to escort her back to her sect is ruined, and now there is no reason for him to go to Dukao to get killed by the ecstasy sect. He begins to wonder what he will do now while having a mental breakdown. Yula looks at Zhao Shuli, who is lying on a bed, as he thinks that he's so close to achieving his goal, and that there must be a way. With a dark expression, he stands over Zhao Shuili while holding a cleaver in his hand and thinks that maybe this is the way. He reasons that if he makes sure that Zhao Shuli is thoroughly dead, the Wenjian sect will definitely hunt him down and tear him to pieces. He then angrily throws the cleaver on the floor, cursing the author of this story, threatening the author that he will jump out of the screen and kill him for this shitty story progression. Yula looks at Zhao Shuili, reasoning that she fell from such a high height into his house before and was fine, so he's sure she'll be able to defeat the ecstasy sect even if she's critically injured. He thinks that even if Zhao Shuili is in a weakened state, she's still very powerful, and how is it possible that she was brought down to this state with just a single sneak attack? Yula makes up his mind, saying that he can definitely save her. Yula tries to remember how to perform first aid and thinks about chest compressions while looking at Zhao Shuili's chest. He then looks at her face and thinks about artificial respiration. He gets ready to begin the chest compressions, and then performs it, telling Zhao Shuili to wake up. He begins performing chest compressions more violently, telling her to wake up and convincing himself that she'll definitely wake up. But suddenly a purple orb pops out of Zhao Shuli's chest, and he curiously takes a closer look at the orb and soon remembers this is the Orb of Bewitchment. He casually throws away the orb, telling it not to distract him when he's trying to save Zhao Shuili's life. The purple orb bounces on the floor, finally stopping in a corner of the room. But suddenly Yuli gets an idea, and as he is about to ask the Orb of Bewitchment something, the purple orb begins to glow, attracting Yuli's attention, and the Orb of Bewitchment tells him that it can give him everything and tells Yuli to come closer as it will free his desires. Yuli's gaze seems captivated by the orb, and then he picks up the glowing orb while looking like he's under the influence of mind control. Yuli smirks, reasoning that the Orb of Bewitchment is an important treasure, so if he takes it, the Ecstasy sect will definitely kill him. He imagines himself running away, happily mocking the Ecstasy sect while they chase after him trying to kill him. He thinks he still has an opportunity to die, but the problem is that his luck has been terrible ever since he transmigrated, and if he doesn't have Zhao Shuili by his side, the Ecstasy sect might never find him. He concludes that Zhao Shuili can't die on him, so for the first time in his life he has to save someone's life. Yuli performs artificial respiration on Zhao Shuili, urging her to wake up while blushing. He thinks that the artificial respiration is not working, but he refuses to let Zhao Shuili die. He yells in desperation, asking what would he do without her, and now crying he says why couldn't it have been him who died instead? Why was she the one who got stabbed? He thinks that this is not fair. Now while resting his head on Zhao Shuili's bed, he thinks that he tried so hard, but she was the one who died instead. Zhao Shuli suddenly wakes up saying Yuli's name, and Yuli yells in excitement saying that she actually woke up. The scenery shifts to the mountains of the Wen Sword sect, where Zhao Shuli recalls that she started training at a young age, and she strove to be brave and diligent in all her practices. Her master told her that she shouldn't get involved with romance or love if she wanted to rise to the top, and the scene shows Zhao Shuli looking up at a big pile of love letters. Zhao Shuili swore to never look for love and to serve the sword with all her heart, and the scene shows her burning all her love letters in front of the men who wrote them. Zhao Shuili always adhered to the way of the cultivator and decided that she could give up anything in order to ward off demons and protect the way of the cultivators, even her own life. When she was stabbed by Shui Qingmei, she was sure that breaking through the roadblock placed by the Ecstasy sect at Dukou would be impossible, but the Orb of Bewitchment is able to seduce people, turning them evil, and as long as that orb exists in the world, it will cause many conflicts. The orb must be taken to the Wen Sword sect so the masters can unite their strength and destroy it. But currently, there is only one way to return the orb safely to the sect. Zhao Shuli's plan is to split up with Yuli and go in different directions, with Yula holding the Orb of Bewitchment and heading to the Wen Sword sect alone, and she will travel to Duhikao to attack the Ecstasy sect as she plans to destroy their artifacts, even at the cost of her own life. Zhao Shuili then thinks with a serious expression that the most important thing here is if Yuli is trustworthy. She thinks that even if his speech about evil coming from a person's heart swayed her heart, the fact that he concealed his identity and intentions has left her feeling restless, so she plans to fake her death in order to test Yuli's true intentions. The scene shifts back to the room with Zhao Shuili lying in bed as she thinks to herself that she wants Yuli to show her his true intentions. Yuli is seen applying chest compressions, and this makes her wonder if he's trying to find the Orb of Bewitchment. Yuli begins yelling, telling Zhao Shuili to wake up, and this makes Zhao Shuili realize that Yuli actually wants to save her. But as she says so, blood gushes out of her mouth. The Orb of Bewitchment pops out of her chest, and she wonders what the hell Yuli is doing, but then thinks that at least the Orb of Bewitchment will distract him, and now she's curious to see what Yuli will do with the orb now that he has it. Yuli casually throws away the orb, calling it a distraction, and Zhao Shuili is in disbelief that Yuli would just discard the orb so casually and wonders if Yuli actually knows what that orb actually is. Yuli gets closer to Zhao Shuili, telling her she can't die, while she excitedly thinks that his priority really is to save her. Zhao Shuili imagines Yuli going in for a kiss, and she recalls that she's seen something similar in her sectmate's secret stash, but she wonders if this is for real. The scene shifts to Yuli aggressively applying artificial respiration to Zhao Shuili as she begins to resemble Majin Buu while she internally calls out for someone to save her. Zhao Shuili thinks that Yuli's method of revival is quite strange, but it seems that he really wants to save her. Yuli then yells what would he do without her. This makes her think that they've not known each other for that long, so why is he so distressed? Yuli then says why it couldn't have been him who got stabbed, and this makes Zhao Shuili question if Yuli would have really preferred if it was him who got stabbed instead of her. She wonders why he would do this. She thinks that from the start, Yuli listened to her troubles with the sect and promised to help her get back without hesitation. He managed to beat the Mother of Poisons and her group, and even stood up for her without any fear. Although he was not willing to tell her his secret, he was willing to risk his life for her. Zhao Shuli's face becomes red as she believes that she has finally put all the pieces to the puzzle together and comes to the conclusion that Yuli is in love with her. Yula waves at Zhao Shuli, asking her if she's awake. The orb of bewitchment glows purple, and Zhao Shuli thinks that they haven't known each other until very recently, so she wonders when Yuli developed these feelings for her, and if maybe this is the mythical love at first sight. She gets even more embarrassed, thinking that it's no wonder Yuli was willing to die for her and escort her back to her sect. She thinks Yuli is a good person, and if he's so in love with her, what should she do about it? Even more embarrassed now, she thinks that Yuli is talented, smart, and good with strategy, and that his view of evil coming from the heart suits her perfectly, but she has already promised not to fall in love. She thinks that although Yuli is a simple mortal, he's the son of the eternal demon master, and if he starts cultivating, he will become very powerful. Yuli would be one of the best choices if she were looking for a husband, but she already swore not to find love. Zhao Shuli continues to struggle internally with her feelings for Yuli, thinking that she can't break her oath, cultivation, and all of her hard work in a single moment. She thinks she's not a simple mortal girl, so Yule shouldn't fall in love with her as it won't lead anywhere. She then imagines Yule looking like a total Chad, asking her if she's finally awake and how she feels. This view of Yule melts her heart as she wonders how Yuli can be so handsome. Zhao Shuli then imagines herself gouging her eyes out as she tells herself to stay strong. Yuli wonders if Zhao Shuli is deciding what to do with him, thinking it must be difficult, and he also thinks that he should remain calm and just wait for her answer. Zhao Shuli tells Yuli she has something to say to him and asks him to help her get up for a moment. Yuli agrees to her request but tells her to please adjust her clothes. As he helps her up, he wonders about what she wants to say to him. He hopes that Zhao Shuli doesn't say that she actually believed the mother of 5 poisons who accused him of having a secret plot. Yuli feels uneasy, hoping that she doesn't even think about this, as he just wants to find a convenient way to die. His mind can't take it anymore as he repeatedly tells himself that this will not work while he begs for this to work. Zhao Shuli tells him that she doesn't have much energy left after being stabbed by Shui Qingmei, so she won't be able to win at Dukao. She wants him to take the Orb of Bewitchment and go a separate way to the Wen Sword sect, while she heads to Du Hikao to slow down the Ecstasy sect. Yuli feels relieved for a second as he thinks that all she wanted was to go to Dukao alone. What is she thinking? He says, but suddenly realizes that she just said something very important and tells her to wait a minute. What is she even saying right now? Zhao Shuali says that the Orb of Bewitchment is very dangerous, so they must take it to the Wen Sword sect. She knows that he's not willing to agree, but for the good of everyone else, they must make small sacrifices in order to obtain big gains. She then thinks that Yule became upset when he learned that she was going to sacrifice herself, but all she can do right now is act like she's indifferent, even if she feels guilty. Yule yells at her, saying that he doesn't care about that stupid orb, and that he will go with her while thinking that no one will stop him from getting himself killed. Zhao Shuali tells him to calm down as he will surely die if he goes with her, while thinking that her heart already feels torn from listening to Yuli's feelings for her, and that she can't send him to his death so easily. Yule stands his ground, saying that he doesn't care. All he cares about is going together with her, and he doesn't care if that means he will die. If going together with her means they will die, then they will just die. These words make Zhao Shuali blush as she thinks that she's so important in Yule's eyes, and that even the men in those stories she read were never this amazing. Zhao Shuli is feeling love-struck as she thinks that Yule cares so much about her, while Yule asks her if she's feeling okay and needs help. Zhao Shuali snaps out of her love-struck state and thinks that she needs to pull herself together, as she can't allow herself to be seduced by Yuli, and that she should hold on to her training and her promise. Zhao Shuli tells Yule that she's okay, just a bit thirsty, and asks Yuli if he can get her some water. Yule tells her that's not a problem as long as she lets him go with her. Yuli's words of him wanting to go with her so badly repeat in her head, and she once again enters her love-struck state, internally yelling that Yuli is so good. As Yule pours some water into a cup, he wonders why Zhao Shuli didn't answer him just now and if he pissed her off. He reasons that it was pretty unreasonable for him to make such a commotion about wanting to go die together. But he then wonders if it's so unreasonable, then why has the system not warned him about this? Could there be a bug? Yuli calls out to the system, and the system appears, and he tells the system he has a question. Yule asks if he's planning to accompany Zhao Shuli to a certain death. Why hasn't the system stopped him? A progress bar is shown on the system as the system begins analyzing Yuli's recent performance. The system displays Yuli's previous events of his journey with Zhao Shuli and begins scanning. A few moments later, it finishes its scan. Yule asks the system how the scan went, and the system replies that according to its analysis, he still has a chance of success and even surviving as he works with Zhao Shuli. The system also notes that the risk Yuli is taking is valid, so it will not break the rules. Yule tries to figure out what valid reason he has that is allowing him to take this risk. The system thinks that Yuli is a fool as he has not realized that Zhao Shuili is falling in love with him. Zhao Shuili asks Yula why he wants to go with her so badly. Zhao Shuili reasons that she'll let Yula calm down and think about this more carefully, and then he'll realize how meaningless his proposal of coming along with her is. Yuli, with a smirk, thinks that this question was just answered by his system, so he will relay the same answer. Yula replies that if she goes alone to do Hikao, she will definitely die, but if they go together, they'll at least have a chance. Zhao Shuili thinks together. She tells him that he doesn't care about the threat the orb of bewitchment poses to the world, or about his own life, and that he's willing to give all that up just to have a small chance to live with her, and Yula replies that she's right. This affirmation from Yula shocks Zhao Shuili, as she thinks that no one has ever thought about her this much, and while looking at Yula she says together, and Yula looks at her also saying together. Zhao Shuili, filled with emotion, asks him if he's not afraid, and Yula raises his right hand confidently saying he's not. Zhao Shuili feels as if fireworks are going off inside her as she thinks that no matter what the orb of bewitchment or her oaths are, she'll go with Yuli and to their end if necessary. If she's going to die, it won't matter anyway. Zhao Shuili tells him that she accepts, so they'll go together, and they should seize this opportunity to survive. With a smile, Yula tells her that he'll do his best to make sure she survives, while thinking that he's not sure why she suddenly changed her mind, but he's very grateful for her change of heart. With a warm smile on her face, Zhao Shuili thinks that letting go of her burdens feels so relieving. Her expression suddenly changes as she thinks that she can't break her vows that easily, as there's no way she could stay together with Yuli, and even if they manage to survive, there's no hope for them to be together. Zhao Shuili looks at Yuli, feeling a bit sad. She thinks that Yuli is so good to her, but she's useless to him and unable to do anything. Yuli wonders why she's suddenly looking sad at him. Zhao Shuili wonders what she can do for Yula, but thinks that it seems that there's nothing she can do. And a romance story is loading. Progress bar appears, and suddenly she gets an idea of something she can do. With a determined expression on her face, she says that she can do that. Zhao Shuili tells Yuli to come to her, saying she suddenly thought of a poem that she wants to read to him. Yula wonders why she would want to read a poem to him, and if it has something to do with them rushing to their possible death tomorrow. He figures it must be some kind of heroic poem to boost their morale. Yula takes off his shoes, placing them next to Zhao Shuili's shoes, and she tells him to come and where to sit. Yuli says all right and asks her what poem she plans to read. Zhao Shuili begins reading the poem, saying that in a fight of the gums, two link together and then push back again, a butterfly tastes the nectar of a flower, and bees scramble to save the honey. Yuli is enjoying this, and as she continues reciting the love poem, Yula thinks this is interesting and eventually becomes shocked, saying that she has such talent. But suddenly they sit in awkward silence, and Yula nervously asks her what was the meaning of the poem. Zhao Shuili forcefully grabs Yuli and throws him into the bed, making Yula feel confused about the situation. She then tells Yuli to make love to her, and an embarrassed Yula thinks that this feels like the classic calm before the war. Works from decades ago and wonders if he's seriously in some kind of fantasy world. He thinks this is still all weird to him. An exhausted Yula tells Zhao Shuili to calm down for a second as she's too crazy and to let him breathe first. She excitedly says that being immortal can still bring so much happiness. She then asks Yuli why his noodle is suddenly standing up, and he tells her that it's normal.
Damn!
She excitedly tells him that she wants to research it more, and as she gets to work on her research, Yuli yells out, telling her to stop. The scene shifts to a man who is underwater catching fish, and another man asks him if he caught it, and then yells out to quickly pull it in. The big fish is pulled out of the water, and the two men praise each other on a job well done. The cowardly young master of the ecstasy sect looks at the fish saying it's pretty big. He also says that his bait is great and will be waiting for Zhao Shuili to take it from him. The scene shifts back to an exhausted Yula lying next to a satisfied Zhao Shuili. The not so innocent Zhao Shuili asks Yuli what he meant when he said he couldn't put it in. Wasn't all that rubbing making love? Doesn't this mean that they are officially together? Yula tells her to forget it, as he thinks that she really doesn't know anything. He thinks that if her wound was serious, wouldn't all that moving around open it up? He also thinks that he couldn't stop her. Zhao Shuili thinks that this is the last thing she can do for Yuli. She calls out to Yuli, and while still looking visibly tired, he replies to her saying yeah. She asks him if he could cuddle with her, and this catches Yuli off guard as he thinks that Zhao Shuili is actually so sensitive at times. Yula finally realized that Zhao Shuili could be afraid at times and the pain and confusion that came with giving up her ideals. Yuli tells her that he will definitely keep her safe tomorrow so she can return to the Wen Sword sect. The next day, Yuli is seen carrying Zhao Shuili on her back as they arrive at the designated place. Both the young master of the ecstasy sect and Shui Qingmei wait for him there, and the young master tells Zhao Shuali that he's been waiting for a long time. Yula tells Zhao Shuali that he will leave the first part to her and tells her to take care, to which she agrees. The young master mocks Zhao Shuali, saying that she was supposed to be so powerful, but it's in a sorry state right now, and that he wants to fight her fairly to see who is the strongest. But seeing her in this state, he feels confident that he can crush her with one finger. Zhao Shuali begins focusing her aura around her, which catches the attention of the young master. She quickly leaps forward and attacks the young master with devastating force, which causes the young master to let out a grunt in pain as he falls back and into the ground. The young master is in disbelief at Zhao Shuli's current power. He yells out to her asking, wasn't she injured? Was she tricking them all along? The young master angrily tells Shui Qingmei that she lied to him. Shui Qingmei tries to argue, but he suddenly attacks her soul and consumes it, and Yuli watches this in disbelief. As Shui Qingmei falls to the ground, the young master calls her cultivation pathetic. Yuli, who is watching this, thinks that the young master is vicious, wondering if he really kills his own people. The young master, now with red eyes and a blue aura surrounding him, tells Zhao Shuli that she's next, and he prepares to attack her, saying that his next meal will be delicious. Yula says that the young master is crazier than he thought and tells Zhao Shuli to be careful, reminding her that she's injured, to which she agrees. Zhao Shuli tells the young master that at first, he only sent other people to fight her, as if he were afraid that he would die if he fought her himself. She asks him if he's now ready to take revenge for the old master. The young master questions the need for revenge, as he says he realized how useless that old fool was ages ago. He says that she actually helped him because he was able to absorb the energy from that old fool's body, which increased his energy massively, and now he plans to take that same kind of energy from her body. The young master quickly appears in front of Zhao Shuali and hits her with a deadly strike, pushing her back and making her spit out blood from her mouth. Yuli yells out Zhao Shuli's name in desperation and thinks he's been thinking through things way too simply. Yula reasons that Zhao Shuli's injuries are far more serious than she said, and even if she was confident, he shouldn't have allowed her to take this risk. Yuli thinks that he has no time to waste and needs to get Zhao Shuli to safety, so he tells the young master to stop as the orb of bewitchment isn't here. Scene shifts back in time, the day before meeting at Duhikao. Yula wonders why they are hugging again, but then remembers his top priority. He wonders how he can make it work so that he dies and she doesn't. He gets an idea and asks her if her wound is not healing because she's using most of her energy to suppress the orb. She curiously says yeah and asks him why. Yula reasons that before now, Zhao Shuli considered the orb of bewitchment more important than her own life. He never thought about it much before, but it's different now. With a puzzled expression, Zhao Shuli wonders what Yuli is thinking about. Yuli reminds her that she said that her burden will be alleviated if they drop the orb of bewitchment. She says yes, as she might be able to fight without the orb's influence, and if they win, there will be no need for a sacrifice. Back to the present at Duhikao, Yula says that the orb of bewitchment isn't here, forcing the young master to stop his attack. Yula says he hid the orb of bewitchment, and if he kills them, he will never find it. The young master, intrigued, puts down his weapon and asks Yuli what he's suggesting. Yuli helps Zhao Shuali get up and says that he told her from the beginning not to try this, but she had insisted, and that her wounds will get worse. Zhao Shuali says she thought she could recover enough energy after she got rid of the orb, and if they managed to win the fight, he wouldn't need to make the sacrifice. With a sad expression, Yula thinks she really is a dummy. Zhao Shuli, looking quite injured, tells Yuli that the rest is up to him. The impatient young master calls out to them, asking them if they heard him, and what do they mean they got rid of the orb? Where did they get rid of it? Saying he will go find it. Yula tells him to let them go, and he will tell him where the orb is hidden. The young master finds this very funny and begins laughing, and then his men begin laughing as well. The young master asks Yuli if he thinks he can fool him with such a simple trick, and if he thinks he's dealing with a child. He yells at Yuli, telling him he knows the path he and Zhao Shuli took, so if he sends his people to search along the path they took, they'll find it easily. The young master, looking smug, asks if Yula thinks such a childish plan would work against him. He adds that he has eyes all over Jinan City, and if he left it somewhere there, they would surely find it. Yuli, while also looking smug, says that even Zhao Shuli doesn't know where he sent the orb and asks the young master if he's so confident in his men that he thinks they'll consider he gave it to an unknown merchant. Even more confident now, Yuli asks if the young master is sure that his men will be able to figure out everything he did. Did he even notice the orb was no longer with them? Without waiting for a response, Yula says that the young master didn't know this until now. The young master reasons that the orb of bewitchment is definitely not with Yu Li, as the Soul Eater banner didn't react. The young master asks Yu Li if he's trying to scare him because it's not that easy. The young master says that his Soul Eater banner is able to detect the orb, so if he checks every merchant in the country, he is sure to find it eventually. Yu Li, with an insidious expression, tells him that even if he finds the orb, he locked it with a special device, and if he tries to use the orb without the right key, then the orb will be destroyed. The young master wonders if this could be an artifact of the secret lock sect, which can destroy something if it's forcibly opened. Eula, trying to play off his lie, tells the young master that he's pretty smart, as he thinks that he made all of this up and wonders if something like that really exists in this world, but says whatever, still thinking that the young master is an idiot. Eula then puts his arm on the young master's shoulder, telling him to come closer as he has something to tell him. Eula tells him that killing Zhao Shuali is obviously going to be bad for his sect, and that obtaining the Orb of Bewitchment is clearly the more reasonable idea, to which the young master agrees. The young master tells Eula that he still can't let him go though. He asks what if Eula is lying or playing a trick on him, or what if he ends up with nothing at all. Eula then tells the young master to follow him here for a bit as he drags him along, while the young master questions why Yuli took him all the way here. Zhao Shuali in the background is curious as to what they are talking about. Eula tells the young master that if he lets Zhao Shuali go, he will take him to the orb, but he must sign an unbreakable contract agreeing that the ecstasy sect will not harm Zhao Shuali. The young master reasons that regardless of whether Yu Li is telling the truth or not, the most important thing right now is to get the information and find the orb. He also thinks that after he gets the orb, he won't be able to kill Zhao Shuali, but he then agrees to Yu Li's deal. Zhao Shuali watches in confusion as Yu Li and the young master sign a contract. Yu Li, while doing the peace sign, tells Zhao Shuali that he sorted it out, and Zhao Shuali wonders what that hand gesture means, but she quickly becomes happy, telling him that this is great. Eula points behind Zhao Shuali, telling her there is a flying saucer. This makes her turn around and question whether he meant a flying sorcerer or sausage. Eula then quickly hits Zhao Shuali in an attempt to knock her out. Eula tells Zhao Shuali to forgive him as it was for her own good. Zhao Shuali, with a scary expression, asks Eula what he's doing. This makes Eula panic as he wonders if this kind of attack does not work against cultivators. Yu Li then pulls out a medicine that he borrowed from the young master of the ecstasy sect, and Zhao Shuali asks him what that is. Eula blows the powdered medicine into Zhao Shuali's face, and as she loses consciousness, she tells him that this is not what they agreed on, and she falls into Eula's arms. Eula thinks she's a dummy as this is the only way he can ensure her safety. Eula carries Zhao Shuali and puts her away on a boat floating on the river. He thinks that she must make the rest of the journey on her own, adding that she'll be sure to get to safety. The boat quickly takes off, making a big splash of water land on Yu Li, leaving him wet and with a turtle on his head. Eula says that the boat is really fast while the young master calls out to him. He tells Eula that the boats that cultivators use are obviously on another level than the ones used by mortals. He adds that Zhao Shuali is already so far away that even if he wanted to catch up, he wouldn't be able to. Eula says it won't be long, and a notification appears, reading, "Send Zhao Shuali to safety." The young master points his weapon at Yuli and tells him not to move a muscle and start talking now. Eula clears out his ear and tells him all right. He claps his hands together and tells him that he's sorry that he deceived him, but he never intended to take him to the Orb of Bewitchment's location. And another notification appears reading, "Don't let the orb fall into the hands of the ecstasy sect." The young master becomes angry, yelling, "What the hell?" His blue aura pours out of him as he angrily tells Yu Li that he dares to deceive him while another notification appears reading, "Most importantly, put yourself in danger." Perfect ending. Both the turtle and Yu Li raise their hand, calling the young master over. Enraged, the young master begins to throw many threats at Yu Li, telling him he will give him a fate worse than death. Yu Li, tired of the insults, tells him that he gets it and to be quiet. He asks if he can only talk smack and then urges the young master to come at him. The young master unleashes his soul attack and tells Eula that he will devour his spiritual and corporeal souls, and that he will scatter his spirit so that he never reincarnates. Eula looks at the attack as a feast for him, telling it to come at him. Yu Li's expression quickly changes, as he thinks for a moment about his spirit being scattered. He remembers the system telling him that any attack that attempts to kill him in a way, such as scattering his soul, will be deflected back to his opponent at double the damage and kill them. Eula gets nervous after remembering these words as he knows his opponent will die and not him as the soul attack is about to hit him. After being hit by the attack, Yu Li begins yelling in pain and curses as he starts to lose consciousness, but suddenly a golden aura begins to emanate from his body. He then yells out while golden rings of energy begin to be shot from within his body, forcefully hitting everything around him. The ecstasy sect members watch in awe as they question what they are looking at but quickly begin yelling to run away. The ecstasy sect members run in panic, but are unable to escape their demise. And the young master watches in awe, wondering what is happening as he begins to be lost in the golden light. killing him in the process, as well as all of the other ecstasy sect members. Right after this, the land looks to have been burnt, with the grass and trees burnt while the turtle makes a croaking sound. Eula lies on his knees with the turtle still on his head, as he realizes that his plan of dying has been ruined once again. He looks hopeless as he says that it's all over. Suddenly, someone urgently calls out to Yu Li, making his expression change, and he turns around to see who's calling him. Eula asks Zhao Shueli why she's back here, but he thinks that the powdered medicine he used on her was useless, as she has already woken up. She says that she woke up due to a blast of light, and was afraid they had reached the heaven level, so she came back. She asks him if he's alright, and if he was hit by the blast. Eula says that the ecstasy sect people were disintegrated by the golden light, and that he can't say much about it now, so they should talk about this later. Yu Li, with an annoyed expression, says that the damn ecstasy sect members were just a bunch of thugs, his plan was ruined, and that he's fed up with it now. He says that maybe he could unite this world, but Zhao Shueli says that it's okay as the blast doesn't matter since as long as he's not hurt, she's happy. Back at the Lucky Inn, Yu Li yells out that it's still here, while both Yu Li and Zhao Shueli look at the orb of bewitchment. He says that they left it under the bed so casually that he's surprised that it's still here. Eula grabs the orb and says that she's still injured, so it would be dangerous for her to hold it, and that for now he will keep it with him. She replies that it's alright as she trusts him. Suddenly, Zhao Shueli yells in pain and then faints. This makes Eula panic, wondering why she fainted again as he thought that everything was alright from now on. He tells her to hold on as he will take her back to her sect. Yu Li is seen walking through the forest with Zhao Shueli on his back. He seems tired as he tells Zhao Shueli that he can't see a sign of her sect here and wonders if he went wrong somewhere. But Zhao Shueli points him in the direction of some rocks and tells him to take her there. He places her by the rocks, and Zhao Shueli thinks for a second and then places her hand on a rock. A glowing circle is then seen on the rock, and energy flows around them, revealing a city within the forest. This scene shocks Yu Li as he observes the beautiful scene of the city that just became visible. His expression quickly changes as he senses something, asking what just happened. He sees 3 people jumping out of their flying swords and start running towards him. The long-haired man says that Mistress Zhao is back. He then approaches Zhao Shueli and notices that her wounds are serious, telling her that he will take her back to the sect to heal her. The 3 cultivators take Zhao Shueli and leave, leaving a confused Eula wondering if they really left just like that. He then sees someone coming back, and it is the long-haired man who comes back and apologizes to him, saying they are extremely busy and forgot about him. He thanks Yu Li for bringing Mistress Zhao back to them. Eula tells him that it's no problem, but what should he call him? Suddenly, Yu Li hears bells ringing, and then people call out to the long-haired man calling him Master Guang. They call him for help with resolving issues like 5 guys streaking, geese escaping and harassing people again, and some idiot even asks him if they need to wear a helmet to go fishing. These requests annoy Master Guang. This makes Eula feel a bit sorry for him. Master Guang angrily yells at the requesters, telling them that he said he would be there in a moment, but the requesters keep begging him for help. Incredulous at the situation, Master Guang yells at them, saying that he'll be there in a second. Master Guang and Yu Li are flying on top of the sword. Master Guang tells Yu Li that just ahead of them is the residence of their mentor. Meanwhile, Eula thinks this royal sword is quite useful. They arrive at the residence of the mentor, and Eula thinks, as expected of a cultivator, pure heart and few desires. As they enter the residence, Eula notices the sparkling and gloriously decorated residence, which surprises him, given that at the top of the entrance door was written pure heart, few desires. A beautiful lady greets Master Guang, telling him that the mentor is waiting for him in his pavilion. Seeing this makes Yu Li's nose bleed. Eula points at Master Guang, asking him if he's sure this is the mentor's residence, and not a place that drains the life out of mortals after he makes them faint. This makes Master Guang a bit nervous, but he then says whatever. Master Guang and Yu Li arrive at the mentor's pavilion, and Master Guang introduces Yu Li to the mentor and tells him that he's the one who escorted Mistress Zhao to safety. The mentor approaches Yu Li, and it is revealed that he is Mentor Zhang Hunhai, and he tells Eula that he must be tired from his journey. But Eula wonders if this old pervert is seriously the leader of this sect. Zhang Hunhai asks Eula to tell him about his travels. Eula begins telling him about his travels from the very beginning, starting from when he was living at home alone in the forest. Zhang Hunhai is now looking at the orb of bewitchment, telling Yu Li that it can corrupt people's hearts, and Zhao Shueli was not focusing due to her injuries, and that it was dangerous for him to take it. He then grabs the orb and says that since Zhao Shueli was able to rely on Yu Li, he can ask for anything he likes, and they will try to accommodate his request. Yu Li begins thinking back to a little while earlier to his trip with Master Guang. While they were flying on the sword, Master Guang had told him that something had come up, and to please bear with him, as he would take him to see the mentor a bit later, to which Yuli agreed. They arrived at a place where someone informed Master Guang that Brother Lu had been mortally wounded by a demon while on a mission. Master Guang firmly said that dying to a demon while defending their sect was an honorable death and to arrange a funeral for Brother Lu. Yula takes a closer look at Brother Lu, and he sees a heavily wounded man who is missing an arm, and an idea hits him. Back to the present, he tells Zhang Hunhai that he wants to join the Wen Sword sect. Yule happily thinks that this sect is full of sacrifice and that he's sure to die if he joins. He'll reincarnate, activate the system, and rule the world. Zhang Hunhai says that the Wen Sword sect requires a lot of effort, and that they are thankful for bringing back Zhao Shuali, but they expected him to ask for other treasures. He then asks Yu Li why he doesn't wish to be happy in the mortal world, and Yu Li replies that he doesn't have those types of desires. Zhang Hunhai says that joining the Wen Sword sect is a tough journey and extremely dangerous. He reminds Yule that he has already seen the injuries that their followers suffer, and that death comes to many of them. But Yule says that dying to defend the way of the sect is an honorable death. Zhang Hunhai says that the teachings in this sect are extremely complex, and if he fails, he's inviting danger into his own body. He may waste his life and die early. Is he not afraid of this? Yule confidently replies that he's not afraid. Zhang Hunhai tells him that he will give him a chance to join the sect, and that today they will conduct the first day of recruitment in 5 years. If Yule participates and succeeds in the test, then he will be allowed to join their sect. Zhang Hunhai asks Master Guang about the current state of the assessment, and he replies that the only test left is the Sword Peak Climb. Zhang Hunhai tells Yulei that he will make an exception for him and allow him to take this single test. If he passes, he will be allowed to join, but if he fails, there will be no way for him to join the sect. However, he will still be given plenty of treasures, and Yula thanks him for this. He then tells Yule to follow Kier to the assessment area, as she will lead the way. Master Guang asks the mentor if there is anything he needs to say to him before he leaves. With a hand on his head, the mentor tells him he has a headache. This makes Master Guang panic, as he asks if the strongest cultivator of their sect, the one who everyone looks up to and reveres, actually has a headache. He then sternly asks if this has anything to do with Yuli, and if this is why Zhang Hunhai was reluctant to let him enter the sect. Zhang Hunhai explains that something is terribly wrong with Yula, as he's not a simple huntsman. He asks what's going on with Zhao Shuli as he tells Master Guang that he should know she wields incredible skill with a sword, but only swords. If someone wanted to take advantage of her weaknesses, they would avoid letting her use her sword and try a different approach. Zhang Hunhai continues, saying that Zhao Zhuali was heavily injured when the Ecstasy sect was destroyed, and asks Master Guang if he thinks she was able to do such a thing given her current cultivation base. This question shocks Master Guang as he asks the mentor if he's implying that the one who destroyed the Ecstasy sect was not Zhao Shuali, but Yu Li instead. Zhang Hunhai pulls out the orb of bewitchment and tells him to look at it, and Master Guang loses his mind and becomes enamored with the orb. Zhang Hunhai slaps him, telling him to snap out of it. Master Guang finally understands what the mentor means, saying that the orb was with Yu Lei for so long, yet it didn't have any effect on him, asking Zhang Hunhai how this is possible. Zhang Hunhai says that although Yu Li has a mortal body, his spirit is that of a heaven-level cultivator, and if it were to be awakened, it would not be affected by the 7 emotions and 6 desires, so it's reasonable that the orb wouldn't bewitch him. Zhang Hunhai asks if it's even possible for a person to exist having the body of a mortal, but the spirit of a heaven-level cultivator. Master Guang is in disbelief, saying that when he checked Yu Li, he was sure that Yu Li was just a mortal as he had no cultivation base at all, and even if it were possible for Yula to cultivate, he says that Yula hasn't done any. Zhang Hunhai tells Master Guang that he only knows of 4 cultivators that have reached the heaven level before. The Sword Devil 500 years ago, the Supreme Taoist from 2,000 years ago, the Swordless Taoist from 6,000 years ago, and finally their founder who traveled to the east. He says that each of these people changed the world in their own way. Master Guang asks him if he's not seriously suggesting that Yu Li could become the world's most powerful cultivator, is he? Zhang Hunhai says that it's possible, but they know nothing about Yu Li and his background, saying that fortune can be friendly or fickle. If fortune is with them, he can see that Yu Li will bring the Wen Sword sect to unknown heights, to be a power they can only dream of right now. In another scene, people are arguing about Yu Li, asking what he's doing here and saying that they can't let a candidate join the trial now, as this is strictly forbidden by the rules. A woman says it's something special this time, and a man says he cannot accept this, as not even the King of Heaven would be allowed to jump in like this. But she says this is the Patriarch's order. The man quickly changes his tone and happily welcomes Yu Li, saying if this is the Patriarch's order, then there is no problem, while Yula thinks that this man changed his mind too quickly. The man who let Yu Lei in wishes him good luck, and Yula thanks him, calling him Mr. Ling, saying that he will take him to dinner sometime, Yuli arrives at the assessment and he sees many people in there. Suddenly a bell rings, and a man is seen on a stage announcing that their sect is the most powerful around and the most powerful in the world too. He says if they want to join them, they will have to prove themselves one more time, as this is the final test. Big tall mountains of rocks are seen, as the announcer says the last test is the Holy Sword Peak. Yula looks up at the rocks, excitedly saying that they are so tall, and if this existed in the modern-day world, it would be considered a natural wonder. The announcer tells the contestants to listen carefully. They need to climb up the mountain as far as they can within an hour, and only the top 80 participants will be allowed into the sect. He also says that along the way, they are not allowed to fight other participants. Anyone found breaking these rules will be immediately disqualified. Yula laughs, thinking this test is too easy. He reasons that Jun Fei's huntsman's body is really strong, given that he carried Zhao Shuli so far to the sect and didn't even feel tired at all. So climbing a mountain for an hour is no problem at all. The announcer then signals for the climb to the Sword Peak to begin. Yula stands in front of the stairs and says that climbing these stairs is child's play, and that he expected more of the Wen Sword Sect's entrance assessment. He then confidently looks up and says Sword Peak, Wen Sword Sect. Here I come! Some steps later, Yula looks awfully exhausted, saying he can't take it anymore. As he breathes heavily, he curses the stairs and wonders why he can't move his legs, but he pushes himself to keep moving forward. Yuli wonders if the contestants are all production team members, because he doesn't know how they are climbing so fast. A woman says that this assessment is also known as the Death's Peak Challenge and challenges the candidate's psychological quality. She adds that the steps after the first 200 are the assessment's most important and interesting part. The announcer looks up and is intrigued by something. He yells that a candidate has made it above the 200 steps. A closer view of this candidate reveals a slim young red-haired female as she looks ahead to the remaining stairs. The girl looks down the stairs and thinks she's climbed 200 steps, so no one can challenge her at this point. The man next to the announcer says that the girl's name is Zuo Yuhan, and she's the daughter born from the king of the country of Shiding and one of the king's high-ranking concubines. He adds that when he went to Shiding, the girl bowed down and begged him to take her with him. He also saw a lot of potential in the girl and noted that her life experiences have honed her temperament well. Ultimately, he decided to take her back with him to the sect, so it's no surprise that she's number one in this challenge. The woman in the pink outfit tells the man not to be so sure, saying she favors Fang Qingshu more, who was born into the sect. She also says that those who are born into their sect without the proper skills are rejected early, and the fact that Fang Qingshu has stayed until now is a testament to his strength. The woman laughs and says there are a few promising candidates to watch this year. The red-haired girl Zuo Yuhan continues climbing the stairs, thinking she'll continue trying to stay in first place. She takes another step beyond the 200th step and is suddenly trapped in an illusion where multiple people bow down to her, saying long live the Empress. Zuo Yuhan is now confused by the situation, wondering why people call her the Empress. She thinks this isn't right and asks herself, wasn't she doing the test to enter the Wen Sword Sect? A mysterious person reminds Zuo Yuhan that she had gone to the Wen Sword Sect to save her mother, and that now her mother is saved. Zuo Yuhan turns around, asking the mysterious person what she means. But suddenly, her mother calls out to her, calling her Empress, catching her off guard. Her mother hugs her and calls Zuo Yuhan her little Empress, telling her she's amazing, and how lucky she was to have given birth to someone as incredible as her. Suffocating from the tight hug, Zuo Yuhan tells her mother it's great that she's all right. Zuo Yuhan begins to enjoy the warmth of her mother, saying that this is great, and if she's okay, then everything it's fine, telling her mother that she missed her. Of course, this was not Zuo Yuhan's real mother, but an illusion to prevent her from moving forward in the test, and now she stands idle and unable to move. The man who was praising her earlier becomes enraged, calling her stupid and useless, saying that this was just the first illusion, so how did she get caught? The woman in pink says that from the 200th to the 400th step on this mountain, a test subjects them to their strongest desires to tempt them away from the path of the Tao. The woman tells the man that her disciple is still young, but her heart holds desires, and her motivation is not strong enough, adding that Kinshu is much better at this. A young man makes it to where Zuo Yuhan is, and suddenly, an illusion of beautiful women appears before him, calling him their prince. One of the women tells him that cultivation is so hard, so why doesn't he come and live with them instead? While another calls the prince over, telling him that they should do something fun. The young man doesn't fall for the temptations of the women and swiftly slashes them using his sword, breaking the illusion. He then says to himself that they were just illusions, so he must not falter, and that there is still a long way to go, so he must keep moving. As he progresses through the steps, more illusions appear before him, but he successfully fends them off and keeps advancing. The woman in pink is happy that Fang Qingshu beat the illusions so easily, saying that this is expected of his favorite, and that the young man has incredible potential. Meanwhile, the other man is still enraged at the red-haired girl. We then see the red-haired girl and other candidates who fell victim to the illusion's attack. Yuli, currently on step 188 and tired from climbing all those steps, wonders what those guys are doing up there. He then says it doesn't matter what they are doing, he'll just take this opportunity to overtake them. Back to the woman in pink, she says that Qingshu is now at step 421, and the short man beside her says this seems to be his limit, but noting that this is actually the best performance they've seen for the last 100 years. The other old man tells the red-haired girl to pull herself together. Suddenly, another man appears behind them, asking how the assessment is going, which is then revealed to be Master Guang. One of the men tells Master Guang that the assessment is nearing the end, and the scores are pretty much finalized, adding that at the moment Fang Qingshu is leading at step 421, while in second place is the red-haired girl Zuo Yuhan at step 390, to which Master Guang replies by saying not bad. Suddenly, Yula catches Master Guang's attention as he notices that he's currently in step 193, making him last place. Master Guang wonders why Yula's performance is so poor, given that the Patriarch told him that Yula was really incredible. He then thinks that if Yula could actually be the one to cause disaster for the sect, then it's better for him not to pass. Meanwhile, Yuli is seen struggling, telling himself that he must pass this test, finally reaching the 200th step. But suddenly, he gets hit with an illusion where he seems to be naked, and he panics, wondering where his clothes and turtle have gone. And Yuli also fell into the trap of illusion, finding himself surrounded by beautiful girls who were calling him Majesty Yule, and asking him to come over to them. He was shocked, unable to understand how he had reached this place, questioning himself if he had not been on Sword Peak Mountain. Suddenly, the girls shouted from the water, asking him to chase them, further questioning him if he did not want to chase them. Yula stepped back in shock when suddenly a purple-haired girl jumped toward him, asking if they had not served him well. Sensing something wrong, he became angry and shouted at them to stop. The girl questioned him, asking what was so important about cultivation, as if he stayed there, they could let him feel good. In anger, Yuli kicked her down into the water and moved back, calling her an idiot and stating that he was not doing this for cultivation. He thought to himself that he was doing this so he could die. Suddenly, he woke up and realized that it had been an illusion. Looking at his turtle with affection, he expressed relief that it was fine. He placed it back in his pocket, determined to keep going as he could not let his plans be derailed. The woman in pink clothes observed the performers, remarking that someone was catching up. One of her men, who had his hair tied in a bun, commented that the person was the one who had joined late. He had been lagging behind until that point. Another man was shocked, having heard that Yuli had joined late. The man with the hair bun confirmed this, explaining that, as per the Patriarch's orders, Yuli had remained below 200 steps for a long time, but was now climbing faster and faster. His rapid ascent astonished those watching, while Master Guang stood in stunned silence. Suddenly, Yula came to a stop. The hair bun man wiped his sweat and sighed in relief, admitting that he had thought Yuli would keep pushing forward at that pace. It had been a long time since he had felt that nervous. He acknowledged that the Patriarch's recommended participant was performing exceptionally well. Another observer noted that reaching the 350th step was impressive, but it was unheard of for someone to move from last place into the top 10 in such a manner. Master Guang remained visibly stunned. Meanwhile, Yula sat down, and his turtle inquired whether he was all right. Yuli responded that he was fine, just a bit tired. He also felt hungry and wanted to eat braised noodles. He assessed the situation and noted that only 9 people were ahead of him, meaning his chances were favorable. He wondered if he should not try too hard, considering his knowledge of Jiangxia novels. He contemplated keeping a low profile, as the tallest tree catches the most wind, which could lead to his demise. Suddenly, he punched himself in frustration and shouted at himself in anger. His expression darkened as he reprimanded himself for such thoughts. Fear of death should not concern him, as he was meant to die. Disappointed that he had forgotten this even momentarily, he resolved to continue climbing, pushing himself further. The woman in the pink dress reacted with shock as she saw him rise once more. Yuli increased his pace, breaking into a run and declaring his intent to win. The pink-dressed woman became even more unsettled, unable to comprehend why he did not seem exhausted. She questioned how far he intended to go, as he had stopped before but now showed no sign of slowing. One of the onlookers speculated that Yuli might even surpass Qingshu. The others were left in disbelief, struggling to process the possibility. A trembling voice exclaimed that Yuli was catching up to Fang Qingshu. Shocked, he questioned whether Yuli could seriously overtake him. Yet Yuli did exactly that. Mouths hung open in shock as he surpassed Qingshu, taking first place. It seemed impossible, yet he continued moving forward. Observers were left questioning where he would stop. Master Guang was utterly flabbergasted by his performance. Yula reached step 450, breaking a record held for 400 years. Within moments, he ascended to step 500, surpassing the top mark in 500 years. He continued to step 550, setting the highest record in 700 years, then step 600, breaking an 800-year record. His progress left the spectators in awe. At step 620, he shattered the record of the past 900 years. His face shone with joy as he formed a heart shape with his hands, celebrating his achievement as he reached step 650, marking the highest climb in 1,000 years. He showed no signs of stopping. Master Guang stood motionless, dumbfounded, unable to comprehend how such a feat was even possible. He struggled to process what he had just witnessed, overwhelmed by Yuli's seemingly impossible ascent. Announcer shouts that the trial is over. The man with the hair bun looks stunned, mentioning that he had wagered that if Yuli had been given more time, he could have climbed to the 700th step. He remarks that Yulei is truly an incredible man, a once-in-a-millennium miracle. With such an amazing heavenly gift, reaching the heaven level would not be difficult for him. But it seems impossible. Could his heavenly gift truly be that high? The girl in the pink dress objects, stating that something is wrong. Wasn't Yuli the one who entered late? He has not been properly tested. The man with the hair bun beside her agrees, and the three of them fall into deep thought. Suddenly, they rush toward Yuli with great speed, cornering him. He looks afraid and, with a trembling voice, asks them what they want, pleading with them to be gentle. The hair bun man tells him not to panic, explaining that his tests are incomplete and must be finished now. Yuli, looking stunned, acknowledges that it's just a test and tells them to go ahead as they remove the clothes from his chest. The man reaches forward and pricks him with a needle. As the sharp pain registers, Yula screams so loudly that his voice echoes far and wide. They then drop his blood onto the green stone. The girl in the pink dress shouts that it is happening. Meanwhile, Yuli is still trembling in pain as the three of them turn to look at him in shock. He freaks out, wondering what they are staring at. One of them tells him to rest. Yuli relaxes slightly and asks if the test is already over. He sighs, yawning, relieved that it is finally finished. His exhaustion overtakes him, and he notes that his legs are completely worn out. The three examiners bow their heads in frustration and disbelief, their faces shadowed with dismay. Electric blue energy crackles around them, intensifying the weight of their emotions. One of them, with a desperate expression, exclaims, "Watch why, It is nowhere near the level of Fang Qingshu or Zhou Yuhan's outstanding heavenly gifts. Even if it were mediocre, he should at least be able to make it to the Tao level. With such a strong heart and great potential, how could his heavenly gift be so low?" The girl in the pink dress is visibly shaken, questioning if the gods are laughing at them. Such a thing should be impossible. Master Guang stands with a cold, serious expression. His sharp eyes reflect disappointment as he calmly states, "With such a low heavenly gift, he won't be able to pass even the simplest of our trials." His words, though spoken without anger, carry a weight that cuts deep. Upon returning to the sect, Master Guang confronts Zhang Hunhai, shouting at him, demanding to know why they should keep Yu Li. Their sect has never accepted anyone with such a low heavenly gift. Zhang Hunhai tells him that he still has much to learn about fate. Fate cannot be easily changed. The more one tries to bend it to their will, the more it resists. Master Guang argues, shouting that allowing someone with such a low heavenly gift to join is also bending fate to their will. Zhang Hunhai responds that Yula climbed using his own strength, so driving him away out of fear of the harm he might cause, or allowing him to join simply because of the benefits he could bring would both be acts of bending fate. He insists that Yula must be accepted into the sect and registered like everyone else. However, if he does not break into the arts level within 5 years, he will be expelled like any other disciple. Master Guang stands silent, his stern gaze reflecting doubt, disappointment, and deep contemplation. He finally concedes but warns that even if Yu Li is allowed in, they must keep a close eye on him to see what events he may bring. The scene shifts to the new disciple's dormitory. Yula lies on the floor, relieved that he can finally relax. He then takes out a block, mentioning that Zhao Shuali had someone deliver it to him. It is a sending stone, which he can use to connect with her. However, he worries about her condition. He overheard sect members saying her spirit had been damaged and that she was being sent to an apothecary. It seems serious, and he hopes she recovers quickly. The scene transitions to the registered disciples' classrooms, where students are discussing the previous day's trial. Some brag about how difficult the climb was, with one mentioning that he was exhausted after just 10 steps. Another student laughs at him, calling him a weakling, boasting that he reached the 20th step with ease. A third student dismisses their bragging, saying they should look at Fang Qingshu and Zhou Yuhan's scores since they are the best. He then directs their attention to Zhou Yuhan, who is holding up a girl with her power, shouting at her, demanding to know if she has been practicing something recently. The three students watch in confusion, wondering what is happening. The girl trembles and blushes, admitting that she has just been given a clear heart from her studies. She questions why it is such a secret, then laughs, saying she was only kidding. Suddenly, Eula slides the door open and greets everyone with a smirk, wondering why the room is so silent. Everyone looks at him in shock. At that very moment, Jo Yuhan kisses the girl, leaving Yuli stunned. Eula stares at them so closely and Jo Yuhan shouts at him with anger, asking him if he minds. With a trembling voice, Yuli apologizes, mentioning that he hadn't seen them before so they should please continue. Everyone looks at him when one of the guys shouts that it's him, the guy who climbed 690 steps. He is actually going to be in class with them. And others shout, mentioning that he is a legend, and he is so cool and it's amazing he climbed so far. They also say he beat the guy in second by miles, and that he is so strong when suddenly one of them asks him what's his name, and he tells them that he is Yu Lei and thanks them for their comments. Jo Yuhan shouts at them, aren't they supposed to be paying attention to her? Everyone freaks out as she is angry. Jo Yuhan takes out her sword to attack Eula, mentioning that he doesn't look like a legend, and it's ridiculous as according to the overall ranking by Heavenly Gift, the top participant should have been Fang Qingshu. Eula asks her what she is talking about, as that doesn't mean he has to be at the top and everything, right? Jo Yuhan jumps towards him, asking him to show her his skills. Eula freaks out as Jo Yuhan asks him to let his strength speak for him, and as she swings her sword to attack him, he uses the skill of automatic hunter's dodge and dodges her attack and runs. Everyone looks at Yu Li with a stunned expression, mentioning that he dodged as expected. Jo Yuhan looks at Yua, thinking that someone from outside the sect with no cultivation base dodged her attack. She gets angry, thinking that she's going to make him suffer today. She then swifts her feet to attack him again, when on the other side Eula looks at his hands, thinking that Jo Yuhan's conditioned reflexes are still incredible. And it's a shame he didn't die from that, when from the back she runs towards him. And as he looks at her, he looks happy. He stands in front to take the attack, but her attack was stopped by someone's sword. Yuli opens his eyes, thinking that he survived again, when he sees Fang Qingshu standing in the middle and mentions to Jo Yuhan that her blade is not to be used against other students, and it is only to be used against the demon sect. Jo Yuhan sighs in anger. She asks him if she should just let people like this get away with it, and besides, it was him who started it. Eula thanks Fang Qingshu, telling him that it was just a misunderstanding, and laughs. Fang Qingshu approaches him, smiles, and tells Yu Li to be able to beat 400 steps in the Sword Peak. His will must be enormous. In the future, who knows what his strength will be, so he could not just sit back and watch. Jo Yuhan looks angry as she calls Fang Qingshu a hypocrite, mentioning that Yuli's performance in the climb might have been great, but his heavenly gift is low, so what is he so happy about? Yuli looks shocked, thinking that the results of his heavenly gift test are already so well known. Fang Qingshu tells her that they cultivate to save their sect, not to compete for fame. In the Sword Peak climb, she was beaten by the 200th step because she was too obsessed. He thought she had woken up from that illusion, but now he sees he was wrong. Yuli gives a thumbs up, thinking that with such tolerance and a way with words, Fang Qingshu deserves to be top of the class. Jo Yuhan asks Fang Qingshu if not for fame, how about they have a bet? Fang Qingshu asks her what she means. She shouts that she bets that over the next 5 years, she will become the #1 disciple, and suddenly Master Guang enters, mentioning that he will not accept refusal. Other students look at the master, asking what is he doing here and if he is going to be their lecturer. They are shocked as they hear Master Guang is the real deal, so these studies are going to be hard for them now. Master Guang tells Jo Yuhan that if she is going to use this sect as her gambling table, then she should be prepared to use her life as the bet. Eula's eyes are lightened by Master Guang's statement, as it's so risky and he likes it. Scene shifts to a bridge in the middle of 2 mountains joining them together. Below, a deep and foreboding chasm yawned beneath the students as they peered into the abyss. Master Guang informed them that this was the Wen Sword Sect's single-plank bridge training exercise. 5,000 years ago, the sect faced a catastrophe where many high-level cultivators had fallen to their deaths, pushing the sect to the brink of destruction. To ensure its survival, the mentor at the time had created this exercise, a rigorous training designed to enhance the disciples' abilities. The test demanded absolute focus. Any wavering of concentration would result in falling into the abyss, a fate considered worse than death. However, those who conquered their fear and successfully crossed would not only strengthen their spirit, but also advance their cultivation by 2 to 3 years. Eula stared into the void, feeling the weight of the challenge before him. Despite the ominous nature of the test, he found himself grinning. Joining the sect had already presented him with an opportunity to die on his very first day. Master Guang then addressed the disciples, reminding them of their previous bet. There was no longer a need to wait 5 years. If they successfully completed this challenge now, they would be deemed worthy of the highest ranks, provided they were willing to stake their lives on it. Without hesitation, Eula stepped forward, volunteering to go first. Master Guang was taken aback by his complete lack of fear. The disciple appeared eager, his spirit unwavering, as if danger did not concern him at all. Before anyone could react, Jo Yuhan also stepped forward, unwilling to lose to someone she considered inferior. She declared her intent to go first, unwilling to fall behind someone with such a low heavenly gift. Fang Qingshu, another disciple, suggested that he should go first, and Master Guang approved, recognizing that not all of them were fearful. Yula followed closely behind, filled with excitement. On the other hand, Fang Qingshu found it amusing that Yula saw this as a good day. Meanwhile, Zhou Yuhan felt the weight of the challenge increasing, knowing that the pressure on those who followed would only grow as more attempted the crossing. Frustration built within her as she realized Fang Qingshu had once again managed to get ahead of her. The students watched in shock as Fang Qingshu moved steadily across the bridge. His progress was swift, and he was already halfway when a sudden realization struck him. Looking down, he was overcome with terror. The vast abyss beneath him seemed endless, and fear gripped his body. His steps faltered, and he was unable to move forward. The other students gasped as he stood frozen, fear overtaking him. Even Yu Li, who had been eager moments before, was left in shock. Without warning, Fang Qingshu lost his balance and fell. As he plummeted, he caught sight of a massive bird soaring toward him. Before he could react, the enormous creature swooped down and swallowed him whole. The wave of fear that swept over the remaining disciples was palpable. One of them shouted in disbelief, questioning whether the exercise was truly just about walking across the bridge. The realization that a giant bird had just devoured their fellow disciple shattered any notion of this being a simple trial. Zhou Yuhan trembled as she turned to Master Guang, demanding answers. The fear in her voice was unmistakable, but Master Guang remained unfazed. He reminded them that they had willingly made the bet, and that the Wen Sword Sect was no place for games. He made it clear that they had chosen the difficult path of cultivation, and if they thought their hardships had ended after the Sword Peak climb, they were mistaken. The challenges ahead would only grow more perilous. Those who wished to stand as true cultivators and guardians had to curb their arrogance and train relentlessly. Otherwise, they were free to leave. Yuli stepped forward again, addressing Master Guang. He acknowledged the speech about being a guardian, but questioned whether it was truly wise to force them across a bridge that had just resulted in someone's death. Master Guang remained resolute, reiterating that those who lacked courage were free to turn back. If they chose this path, they had to be prepared for the consequences. Yuli hesitated before asking one final time whether Master Guang would intervene to prevent them from being eaten. The response was firm. He would not. If Yuli feared the challenge, he could leave. Realizing there was no alternative, Yula sighed. He felt a pang of regret for Fang Qingshu, but knew there was no time to dwell on it. As he stepped onto the bridge, Master Guang observed him carefully. The true purpose of the single-plank bridge was to force the students to confront the fear of death. They needed to learn to move forward despite their terror, and temper their minds in the process. Fang Qingshu had succumbed to his fear, proving himself incapable. A mere mortal like Yuli had little chance of succeeding. If he fell, it would simply be fate. The Wen Sword Sect could not afford to protect the weak, and survival was reserved only for those who proved themselves worthy.